Earth football, Cristiano Ronaldo thought I would go assist him. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction. So please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter. And if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 301 Go-Karting and Formula 1. This year's Ballon d'Or was highly controversial, but equally impressive, showcasing Real Madrid's shrewdness. The presence of the European Championship made European performances a crucial factor in the competition. Beckham and Ronaldinho tied for 10th. Raul was 9th. Mendieta was 8th. Batistuta 7th. Rivaldo 6th. Nesta broke into 5th. Henry, thanks to his outstanding performance in the European Championship, qualified as a world-class superstar, ranking 4th in goals scored. Shevchenko, with his phenomenal performance last season, finished 3rd. The Ballon d'Or would ultimately be decided between Figo and Zidane. Both players had lackluster club results last year, failing to reach their full potential. However, they both led their respective countries to breakthroughs in this year's European Championship. Figo led Spain's golden generation to the semi-finals, Portugal's first ever appearance in the tournament. But they were defeated by Zidane's France. France also lifted the Henri Delaney trophy in the final. Zidane's disadvantage lay in the presence of Henry, who siphoned off a significant portion of the vote. Figo's disadvantage lay in his direct defeat to rival Zidane. However, Figo ultimately reaped the intangible benefits of his summer transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid. With Real Madrid's support, Figo narrowly beats Zidane to win this year's Ballon d'Or. It's impossible to say Zidane had no objections. This is an honor awarded by France Football, yet the Spaniards have a dominant position in this award, awarding it to the Portuguese at will. To this day, Zidane can't help but recall his conversations with Deng Kai when he won the Ballon d'Or and FIFA World Player of the Year awards in 1998. At that time, Zidane believed Juventus was the best place for him. But Deng Kai disagreed. Deng Kai said Zidane should sense some undercurrents. One day, Zidane would find a place more suitable for him. Now, Zidane feels he has found it. Without a doubt, if Zidane were in La Liga, Figo would definitely not have won this year's Ballon d'Or. Zidane has made up his mind. Because Figo won the award, during the final group photo, he naturally sought out Deng Kai, who was from the same country, to celebrate. The way Deng Kai held the Ballon d'Or, anyone who didn't know better would have thought this 15-year-old had won. After celebrating, Deng Kai also came over to comfort Zidane. But the two only exchanged glances, and Zidane realized his thoughts had been observed. "It's alright, don't hide, Zidane," Deng Kai said magnanimously. Although you were eliminated from the Champions League group stage with a humiliating bottom-of-the-group finish, which became Real Madrid's best ammunition to attack you, he continued. "But you know, I'm not the kind of person filled with class consciousness. You accepted and respected me even before I was a professional player. So when you're down on your luck, I'll only lend a helping hand, that's my character." Deng Kai extended his hand. Zidane even felt a little moved. Such a high level of magnanimity. Stand up, Zidane. The core player of Sporting Lisbon, who has already reached the Europa League round of 16, absolutely does not look down on Zidane of Juventus, who is not even qualified to continue playing in the Europa League. "I swear on my noble character." Zidane slapped Deng Kai on the shoulder, unsure whether to laugh or cry. He certainly didn't care about reaching the Europa League round of 16, but Juventus couldn't even make it to the round of 16 because they were 4th in the group, not 3rd. Even if Juventus finished last this year, no one would think Sporting Lisbon was better than Juventus, or that Deng Kai was better than Zidane. This was precisely why Zidane felt somewhat helpless towards Deng Kai. This man's naivete was sometimes a welcome relief. Zidane envied Deng Kai's mindset. Speaking of which, Portugal's population is still too small. "You'll still be the FIFA World Player of the Year in a few days," Deng Kai earnestly offered a few words of comfort. This was also why Zidane could still maintain a semblance of composure. The Ballon d'Or award prioritizes reputation, an area where Figo falls short of Zidane's. At the end of the Ballon d'Or ceremony, reporters naturally didn't forget the significance of inviting Deng Kai. His predictions for the Champions League winner have become a highlight of the award. Deng Kai, this year's Champions League quarterfinals have many traditional powerhouses, but also some fresh faces. I don't think this is a Champions League dominated solely by the elite teams. I believe Valencia, who surprised us last year, can still create brilliance this year. I also think Inter Milan made the right choice by spending a huge sum, €19.5 million, to bring Robbie Keane from the Premier League and then loaning him to Leeds United. Robbie Keane is excellent, and this year's Leeds United are definitely a Champions League semi-final level team. Robbie Keane has accomplished things that Inter Milan couldn't. Who do I favor? Arsenal has had a lot of personnel changes recently, and Wenger needs some time. Manchester United is facing too much internal strife in the Premier League, and they will also find it difficult to achieve anything in the Champions League. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich have better league conditions. Overall, Bayern Munich has a very good chance this year. After Deng Kai made his predictions, Bayern Munich fans were ecstatic. They all asked Sporting Lisbon what players they needed and quickly sent them to Deng Kai. If I'd known you'd be so optimistic about Bayern, if I'd given you Mathos, how about a few more? Kahn? Fink? Effenberg? Scholl? Elver? Anyone interested? Believe it or not, there are. Finally, the host mentioned Ronaldo. We all know that Jardel, dubbed the new Ronaldo, played for your former club last season. Do you think they are on the same level? Jardel's goals seem incredibly explosive. People became interested, especially the Inter Milan management. They bought countless superstars for the team's success, but they've now become a black hole for star players. They missed out on the Champions League early this year and are relegated to the Europa League. It's laughable. They might as well have finished bottom of their group. Juventus, you son of a bitch. Deng Kai shook his head slightly. Sorry, although I know Ronaldo doesn't like me very much, I still have to say that Jardel is completely incomparable to Ronaldo. You can't compare a go-kart to an F1 car. It's unfair to both sides. Ronaldo suffered a major injury in his career, but as long as he returns, he will always be one of the best strikers on the planet. I haven't tested negative yet today. My cough is bad. I'll get a lung CT scan after I test negative, just in case. This wave of COVID-19 has been really awful for me. I've basically gone through every stage, feeling like I'm dying the whole time. It feels 3 to 5 times worse than a normal fever. I wonder how strong the immunity is for those babies who recover in a day or two. Sob sob. Double monthly votes start today. I'm begging for them. It only happens once a year. After I recover, I'll try my best. I don't dare to try hard now, mainly because I'm afraid that overworking myself and overthinking will suddenly kill me. That would be such a waste. There are too many unresolved issues. Peach still wants to write a novel that will last for another 20 or 30 years. Chapter 302 Europa League opponent revealed. Host, what about Inter Milan? They have so many star players. We just learned that as a Europa League round of 16 team, you could potentially meet this season. If Sporting Lisbon were to face Inter Milan, what would you say to them? Deng Kai, Inter Milan is definitely one of the most attractive super clubs in recent years. Real Madrid is on a similar path to Inter Milan. But you have to admit, football is sometimes more than just about investment. Inter Milan neglects their midfield. They have the most dazzling attacking lineup in the world, but they don't have a single star player in the prime in midfield. If they really meet us, they won't have an advantage. Because our team not only has a lot of midfielders, but also a lot of talent. From veterans Mathos and Deschamps to myself, Viana, and even the dropping back Quaresma and Ronaldo, all can be seen as highly impactful midfielders. We might not be able to stop Inter Milan's Vieri, but Inter Milan will also have a hard time stopping our youthful storm. In my opinion, both their substitute Seedorf and the young Pirlo, who plays without any inhibitions on the bench, are promising talents. If Inter Milan doesn't need them, they could consider giving them to Sporting Lisbon. The host was quite curious. What? Aren't you afraid that after these players come, you'll become a substitute? Thinking so much about Sporting Lisbon, no wonder it's their youth academy. Deng Kai smiled slightly. Don't say that. Even if I were an Iron Man, I still need a substitute. I think Pirlo can learn from me for a few years and become a world-class midfielder without much problem. People laughed heartily, naturally not taking it seriously. You see, although Pirlo didn't get much playing time at Inter Milan, he led Brescia to promotion from Serie B to Serie A 4 years ago. It's roughly similar to what Deng Kai and Ronaldo accomplished last season. But the platforms are different, the difficulties are different, and the recognition is different. Considering that Deng Kai and Ronaldo were 3 years younger when they led their teams to promotion, let's basically equate the two. Pirlo is roughly equivalent to Deng Kai's level in 2 or 3 years, provided that Deng Kai develops normally and has the opportunity to establish himself in a top club. Therefore, no one took Deng Kai's words to heart. If Inter Milan really faced Sporting Lisbon, wouldn't it be a crushing defeat? UEFA didn't keep everyone waiting too long. On January 15, 2001, the FIFA World Player of the Year award ceremony was held. Zidane beat Figo and Rivaldo to win the award. This was her second time winning the FIFA World Player of the Year award. Italians felt they had done enough for Zidane. Little did they know that if it were a Spaniard, Zidane wouldn't have needed to share the two awards with Figo this year. To undermine the influence of FIFA awards, UEFA very cunningly arranged the draw for European competitions in advance. This was to guide people to discuss European competitions and thus promote the progress of football events. Arsenal's opponent was Valencia, a thrilling match between two strong teams. But people generally favored Arsenal, rather than the magical Bats who reached the Champions League final last year. Leeds United's opponent is Deportivo La Coruña. Deportivo La Coruña is in better form, having won the first La Liga title of the 21st century last year, beating Real Madrid and Barcelona, and currently sitting in second place in the league, vying for first. They boast several star strikers, such as Diego Tristan, Roy Mackay, and Paulita, the centre-forward of Portugal's golden generation. Leeds United, on the other hand, is only 10th in the Premier League, but they broke the UK transfer record last summer by signing centre-back Rio Ferdinand. This makes it seem like a good match, a battle of offence versus defence. Turkish Super League side Galatasaray unfortunately drew Real Madrid. This is definitely the worst draw, as Real Madrid are last year's Champions League winners. Manchester United drew their old rivals, Bayern Munich. Meanwhile, the Europa League is also in trouble. Sporting Lisbon's opponent in the Europa League round of 16 is Inter Milan, the star-studded team that Deng Kai jokingly called a black hole at the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Sporting Lisbon fans are in despair. If only everyone had kept Deng Kai quiet. Now look what's happened, the team's European campaign is at least over. Inter Milan's squad is far more luxurious than the Portuguese could have imagined. Even players like Seedorf and Pirlo on their bench would be top stars among the Portuguese league's three giants if they came to the Portuguese top flight. Inter Milan fans are incredibly excited about this. Now that player named Deng Kai can wait, we're looking forward to his performance at the San Siro. Joking aside, Inter Milan is not something a small Portuguese team can compare to. To be fair, although we won't win the Champions League, if we can win a UEFA Cup this year, our Inter Milan would be satisfied. Matthäus is back at Inter Milan, it all seems like a dream. Waking up, Inter Milan is still Inter Milan. Let the Portuguese lads experience the power of the 90 billion lira man. I'm really looking forward to seeing that kid's expression when Vieri scores against Sporting Lisbon. I've put up with him for 3 years. Yet, 3 years ago, he said he had a friend also named Ronaldo, and I've hated him ever since. All he does is write on people's coattails. Then Manchester United won the title, and he acted like he won it himself. Then the prize predictions all pessimistically favored Ronaldo, as if Ronaldo had a grudge against him. This year, they brought out the disgusting Jardel. What F1 and karting. Jardel doesn't even deserve to be called a karting car in front of Ronaldo. He's not even a tire. Good grief. Inter Milan's performance has been poor these past few years, and now they've even developed a grudge against Deng Kai. Fans are clamoring to teach Sporting Lisbon a lesson. This has had a significant impact on Sporting Lisbon. At the end of the winter break, some players, led by Quaresma, had excessively high body fat percentages. They had a good New Year. They ate too well. This was followed by this wave of criticism against Inter Milan. The team has many young players, and most of them became overly excited, but the problem is that their bodies haven't fully adapted to the rhythm of training and matches. This led to a dip in Sporting Lisbon's performance in the early part of the second half of the season. Key players like Quaresma and Viana suffered minor injuries. The former was self-inflicted, while the latter was due to his physical condition. In fact, Viana would have suffered a major injury this year. It was Duncan's presence that allowed him to have a more scientific and reasonable training and match schedule. But the inertia of history still exists, just like Drogba's previous injury. In Chapter 303, the young general wanted to cross the blue-black mountain. Coupled with the mental instability of other young players who prematurely linked themselves with Inter Milan, Sporting Lisbon suffered an unusual 3-game winless streak, including 2 losses. Their position as league leaders was even overtaken by Porto. After the winter break, everything seemed to have changed. Sporting Lisbon, once a title contender, now appears to have fallen off a cliff. Forget the championship, even falling out of the top 4 wouldn't surprise fans. The media immediately began stirring up trouble, giving Sporting Lisbon no chance to recover. Headlines included, Quaresma meets with model, the Portuguese player's mind is no longer on the game. Viana suffers repeated minor injuries, players lose composure, performance declines. Drogba's goal-scoring efficiency remains low, Italian fans jokingly call him the reverse Vieri. After Sporting Lisbon's loss, fans insulted players, Ibrahimovic argued with them, almost coming to blows. Pepe's irrational retaliation was extremely foolish, receiving another red card, further compounding the team's woes. Chelsea confirms Terry's return next season. Is the foreigner just going through the motion? Italy's trash has been reborn in Portugal? Inter fans, he's not even as good as my youth team's substitute. Cristiano Ronaldo still hasn't provided an assist. Is he the team's top scorer or a lone wolf who never passes? The reason for Duncan's decline in form has been found. He's living with Hathaway before. Did they have sex? Both Inter Milan and Bayern Munich were previously known as Star Hollywood, implying too many big-name players and too much gossip, preventing players from focusing on their game. But now, Matthias has brought this trend to Sporting Lisbon. Matthias, isn't it because of Duncan? Did he insist on going to the Ballon d'Or ceremony to make his presence felt? Now he's caused problems, isn't he? The team is on the verge of collapse. At Sporting Lisbon's internal meeting, Trigueira, as if nothing had happened, began his analysis and explanation of Inter Milan. In Deng Kai's words, the reason young players are called young players is precisely because their form is inconsistent. If you tell any young player that their next opponent is Inter Milan, they'll fluctuate. It's uncontrollable. Instead of trying to control emotions, it's better to look forward to that day coming sooner. If they really get over this mountain, the scenery might not be these fleeting clouds in front of them anymore. Trigueira recited from the script, this Inter Milan team is strong in its attack. To make full use of this attacking line, they've piled up a lot of players in midfield, hoping to establish midfield dominance through numbers and convert possession into attacking opportunities as much as possible. To this end, their new coach has transformed the original 4-defender system into a 3 center-back system. And unlike the ordinary 3 center-back system, 2 of the center-backs are converted full-backs, with extremely strong attacking attributes. Trigueira pulled out photos of Ivan Cordoba and Javier Zanetti. The 2 full-backs, one on the left and one on the right, are now playing center-back. The height of Inter Milan's defense is evident. To put it dramatically, aside from Laurent Blanc, who was selected for last year's European Championship Best Zi, this Inter Milan team currently has no defenders. It's all midfield. It would be a miracle if such a team could win. If the opponent dares to attack, this defensive line will definitely leak. No matter who comes, it's useless. February 16, Alvalade Stadium. Sporting Lisbon hosted Inter Milan. The entire football atmosphere in Lisbon was instantly ignited by this match. Inter Milan's starting lineup was star-studded. Vieri and Recoba were the 2 strikers. Francisco Farinas, Christian Brocchi, Luigi Di Biagio, Clarence Seedorf, and Andrea Pirlo formed the midfield. Cordoba, Blanc, and Zanetti were the 3 center-backs. The goalkeeper was Sebastian Frey. Sporting Lisbon, on the other hand, fielded their usual lineup. Cristiano Ronaldo, Drogba, Quaresma, Viana, Duncan, Matthias, Deschamps, Terry, Font, Barzagli, Schmeichel. Viana has just recovered from injury. Quaresma has been in poor form recently. Oh. Looks like Sporting Lisbon is going to try and strangle Inter Milan in midfield. They haven't made any special arrangements in defense, which is quite bold, considering they're facing one of the world's best attacking lineups. From the start, Sporting Lisbon displayed a fearless and aggressive spirit, going toe-to-toe with Inter Milan. They were surprised to find they could win. It's unbelievable. This is Inter Milan. In the 7th minute, Duncan made a crucial interception in the attacking third, and his opponent was none other than Pirlo, whom he had previously singled out. Inter Milan's midfield was too crowded, Pirlo's long passes, usually excellent, were completely useless in this situation. Furthermore, Inter Milan's attack relied too heavily on Vieri. Every player trying to create a threat seemed to pass the ball to Vieri, a simplistic approach that doesn't work against intelligent players. In the 12th minute, Seedorf dribbled into Viana's half. However, his positioning was too deep. The foul wasn't significant, but it interrupted his brilliant performance. If Seedorf had been positioned further forward, his threat would have been much greater. The problem remains, too many players in midfield stifle the truly talented ones. Many players watching the match noticed this. Guardiola, far away in Spain, kept shaking his head. Inter Milan is really wasting money. They have a bunch of the world's top players, playing second-rate tactics, and being coached by a third-rate manager and coaching staff. Even if I were Inter Milan's manager, beating Sporting Lisbon would be a piece of cake. Look at what Sporting Lisbon's players are doing. They're occupying the big circle. They're dominating the big circle. The big circle represents space. Both teams use a central attacking tactic, and both have a bloated midfield. Sporting Lisbon utilizes the width of the pitch to spread their players out as much as possible, ensuring they are well organized and not negatively impacted. Inter Milan isn't competing for the big circle, instead, they're occupying the small circle in midfield. They look numerous, but actually, every passing option is completely surrounded by the opponent. Inter Milan's manager must have never played Go. Playing like this, Sporting Lisbon isn't going to be an upset. They should have won this game. In the 15th minute, the first goal of the match came. Deng Kai chipped a pass through the crowded midfield. Drogba made a run to beat the offside trap and easily created an opportunity. He made violent contact with Blanco, but instead of falling, he managed to take a shot amidst a fierce challenge. It was a stunning shot. Inter Milan goalkeeper Frey felt like he was seeing Fiorentina's Batistuta. Goal. Unbelievable. Sporting Lisbon scored first. These young players actually did it? Inter Milan's stars don't seem to be in form yet. Did they not get enough rest last night? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304 Figo plus Rui Costa. Okay, we can see that Inter Milan's stars have put away their contempt. In any case, their opponents are at the Europa League knockout stage level, and they should take them seriously. As Inter Milan's commentator, I haven't even introduced the Sporting Lisbon players yet, which is truly regrettable. The player who just scored is Drogba, and his physical strength seems quite good. But as Deng Kai said before the match, Sporting Lisbon is a team with very distinctive midfield and wing play. This team has many midfield talents, and Deng Kai, who provided the assist for Drogba, is undoubtedly one of them. Wait, this is. Just as the commentator was interacting with the distant Inter Milan fans, a new development occurred on the field. The young man wearing the number 17 jersey from Sporting Lisbon was performing a series of impressive feats of evasion in the crowd. Fried croquet. Pirlo and Seedorf were both beaten. Zanetti couldn't stop him either. He shook off Zanetti and decisively cut inside. Open. Open. He dribbled into the penalty area. My God, is Figo playing? Shot, fake shot, real pass. Drogba scored this incredibly easy shot, which could very well be the easiest goal in this UEFA Cup. Drogba completed his brace. His efficiency is extremely high. But it must be said, he got a huge advantage today. Both goals were delivered to him by his teammates. Especially the second goal, the Sporting Lisbon number 17 with his flowing long hair, his dribbling was like Figo, and his decisive pass was like Rui Costa. Is his number 17, not 10 plus 7? Who is he? I can now imagine Morati's shock and joy. Shocked that the Portuguese league has such a talented midfielder. Joy that he's only playing for the small Sporting Lisbon, and can be taken away with just a check. Oh, found it. This player's information was on our desk in less than 3 minutes. He's no nobody. Hugo Viana. Portugal's most talented midfielder. Sporting Lisbon's absolute midfield core. Sporting Lisbon's rise this season is inseparable from his deeper positioning. He's a player with true playmaking ability. But he's shown that if the team needs him, he can even penetrate deep into the opponent's penalty area to provide an assist. This is a super midfielder who can dribble the ball from his own penalty area to the opponent's. Honestly, Sometimes regional differences are just that exaggerated. With Sporting Lisbon taking a 2-0 lead, Inter Milan fans were most focused on Viana. You might say it's unrelated to Viana's hairstyle being exactly the same as Rui Costa's, but I certainly don't believe it. Rui Costa is definitely a highly sought-after player. With Batistuta's departure last year, Rui Costa is very likely to transfer after this season. Inter Milan desperately wants him, but their city rivals AC Milan clearly have too many advantages in this deal. So how could fans remain calm when they spotted a younger version of Rui Costa? And Viana's performance so far in this match has been excellent. He just recovered from a minor injury and is currently very eager to play. Coupled with Duncan's clever use of the width and depth of the pitch, actively dropping back and to the right, Viana found a stage perfectly suited to showcase his skills. Inter Milan's midfield does have more players, but most are attackers, with almost no true defensive specialists. Viana's dribbling skills and ball control are simply too comfortable in this environment. Throughout the first half, Drogba's 2 goals seemed like an accident. Everyone was immersed in Viana's performance. It was somewhat reminiscent of Quaresma's dominance on the right flank in the past. But the usual Quaresma didn't perform as well today. His right-wing opponent was mostly Cordoba. This player, known as the Living Llama, is under 1.8 meters tall but is almost the most difficult small center-back to deal with. Quaresma was almost driven to despair by Cordoba's marking. This further highlighted Viana's excellent form today. Just before halftime, Vieri's long-range shot was a powerful wake-up call, reminding everyone that this match featured a host of stars besides Viana. During halftime, Trigura asked Duncan if they needed to exploit Viana's drawing power. Many teams like to do this, having their best first-half player draw attention and create more opportunities for other players. It's hard to say whether this approach is better or letting a good player shine is better. Both seem reasonable. But in this match, Duncan believed it was better to let Viana continue to shine. The reason is simple. Inter Milan's midfield has no one who can contain Viana. So, if Viana plays well, theoretically, he could overwhelm Inter Milan. Cristiano Ronaldo, come here, Deng Kai called Ronaldo over. In the second half, drop back a bit more and play 1-2s with Viana more often. If he moves wide, don't just stand there, cut inside off the ball to draw him away. This simple combination wasn't complicated, and Ronaldo understood it. Basically, if you treat Viana like Quaresma, you'll know how to play. Deng Kai also approached Viana, indicating that the team would fully support his performance in the second half. Viana was ecstatic. He had a feeling he was about to have his masterpiece. But in the second half, Inter Milan launched the first attack. Perhaps after the halftime reflection, Inter Milan's midfield stars felt humiliated. Even an unknown young Portuguese player dared to wreak havoc in midfield. What about them, the stars? Don't forget, Seedorf transferred from Real Madrid to Inter Milan a year ago for €24.5 million. He was an absolute superstar. No player in Sporting Lisbon currently had such a high transfer fee. At the start of the second half, Seedorf showcased his agile dribbling skills on several occasions. In the 48th minute, Seedorf was fouled after dribbling past a defender in the middle, creating a free kick in a decent position. Seedorf and Pirlo stood in front of the ball. Seedorf possesses the ability to unleash powerful long-range shots. His long-range efforts are incredibly potent, even earning him the nickname cruise missile launcher. But Pirlo's footwork is also exceptional. He can take a tactical free kick. Ultimately, Seedorf feinted in attack, and Pirlo took the tactical free kick. The 90 billion lire man, Vieri, sprinted into the penalty area, overpowering everyone to deliver a devastating header. Chapter 305 Viana, take off. Schmeichel looked on in awe, unable to stop the goal. 1-2. You can always trust Vieri. Inter Milan has finally scored. Their form is back. The entire Alvalade stadium fell silent. The fans were completely awestruck by Vieri. This is the club with the most global superstars. This is Inter Milan. The commentator was incredibly excited. The disappointment of Inter Milan fans, falling from the Champions League to the Europa League, finally dissipated somewhat. Inter Milan's players then played more proactively, launching frequent attacks. Sporting Lisbon's defense was crumbling. Matthäus was permanently positioned at centre-back, and Deschamps had also dropped back, essentially forming a 5-man defense. If they continue defending like this for another 10 minutes, Sporting Lisbon would likely concede another goal. However, in the 55th minute, Viana dribbled past Ronaldo on the left flank, then passed to Deng Kai before moving wide. Deng Kai played a 1-2 pass, finding Viana at his feet. Facing Inter Milan captain Zanetti, Viana showed no fear. With a flick of his ankle, he sprinted down the flank, took a half step, then pulled back, dribbled the ball sideways, and cut inside. Viana skillfully evaded Zanetti and completed his cut inside. Seedorf, who should have been covering, hadn't retreated to the center circle, he was too eager to attack. Ultimately, Zanetti fouled from behind, giving Viana a free kick in an excellent position. Normally, Quaresma would take the free kick. But he wasn't in good form today, and the ball was on the left wing, so he didn't bother to come over. Viana took the free kick himself. He unleashed a powerful shot, the ball curving beautifully. Goal. Viana. Unbelievable. Viana scores directly from the free kick. It's him again, it's him again. This Portuguese guy is on fire. Really. He's a combination of Figo and Rui Costa. He's even more dazzling than Semedo before. Even at this moment, Inter Milan still viewed Viana with admiration. No one seemed to notice the score had already reached 3-1. Soon, Inter's players showed everyone why Inter fans had such confidence. In the 71st minute, Farinas crossed from the byline, Vieri held off Font in the box, and unleashed a perfect shot. Schmeichel made a brilliant save, denying the goal. But the Chinese boy, Recoba, followed up and scored, bringing the score to 2-3. Recoba didn't disappoint Moratti. He's never been a superstar, but his loyalty to Inter Milan earned him the world's highest salary. It's said that Moratti offered Recoba £5 million a year. That's higher than Vieri's salary. In an era where transfer fees were still status symbols, salary was important, but not that important. At least these days, many superstars and club executives overlook the impact of salary on the team's internal atmosphere. Inter Milan boasts a plethora of superstars, yet their performance is abysmal. Besides the lack of a high-caliber coach, the imbalance in salaries and other factors leading to dressing room problems is a significant contributing factor. Oh, Trigura is making substitutions. He's replacing the exhausted Dutch amps with a young defensive midfielder Pepe. Then he's replacing Drogba with the Swedish striker Ibrahimovic. What? Quaresma's been substituted too. He looks displeased, but his performance today hasn't been great. It wasn't striker Pinto who replaced Quaresma, but another defensive midfielder, Paulo Bento. It seems Sporting Lisbon wants to hold on to the 3-2 lead, but that will be difficult, especially since Vieri hasn't scored yet. Often, Vieri's presence on the pitch means Inter Milan is already 1-0. In the 77th minute, Matthäus made a crucial interception in his own half. Seedorf's through ball didn't fool him. Matthäus passed a ball to the on-rushing Duncan. Duncan then passed it to Ronaldo, who had dropped back on the left wing. Ronaldo passed a ball to Viana, then pulled him aside. Viana, using Ronaldo's movement, successfully feinted past him and advanced through the middle once again. Facing a tackle, Viana passed to the dropping back Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic passed to the wing to Duncan. Duncan played a long, over-the-top through ball. Viana had already entered the penalty area. A series of passes and combinations, Sporting Lisbon's passing was incredibly fluid. Viana and Inter Milan centre-back Blanc received the ball in a challenge. Viana's position was further forward, and Blanc dared not foul him. Finally, before Blanc could press forward, Viana completed a chip shot. The on-rushing Inter goalkeeper Fritzchen made a diving save, only to have the ball lofted over his head. The score changed. 4-2. Viana had 2 goals and 1 assist, dazzlingly brilliant. If Brazilian fans saw him playing at this moment, they would surely notice how similar he was to that young midfielder from Sao Paulo. Unfortunately, that talented player suffered a fractured 6th vertebra after hitting the bottom of the swimming pool while swimming, facing the risk of lower limb paralysis. Even if he recovers, it's unlikely he'll ever play like Viana again. In the 85th minute, Vieri completed his minimum goal with a long-range shot, scoring a spectacular world-class goal 4-3. This was also the final score of this Europa League knockout match. Sporting Lisbon defended their home honor, defeating the powerful Nerazzurri 4-3. But Inter Milan didn't completely lose. Despite a poor performance throughout the match, they still secured 3 valuable away goals. This means that if they win their next match 1-0, they will advance to the Europa League quarterfinals. This is definitely not a difficult task for Inter Milan. The match was barely over when Italy was already in an uproar. Many Serie A teams were mocking Inter Milan for losing to a small team like Sporting Lisbon. But Serie A powerhouses including AC Milan, Lazio, and Parma contacted Sporting Lisbon's sporting department to inquire about Viana. Lazio, in particular, offered €10 million to secure Viana in advance. Sporting Lisbon may not be a big club, but they're known for their shrewdness. They've had their share of players who become overnight sensations. They know how to maximize the value of a young player. Viana was originally a star product for Sporting Lisbon, and the plan was to heavily promote him after Quaresma's departure. However, the emergence of Duncan and Ronaldo has rendered that plan obsolete. Next, the team will likely focus on Ronaldo, who seems to be the most valuable player they can sell for. Even so, if Viana suddenly becomes valuable, the club can always bring back the original plan they offered him. Article title: Portuguese rising star sinks Inter Milan. Hugo Viana equals Figo plus Rui Costa. Chapter 306: The star player falls, Pirlo's sleepy eyes. Portugal's most talented midfielder. 2 goals, 1 assist, and 1 playmaker, leading the team to a 4-3 victory over Inter Milan. Viana, Inter Milan's long-awaited midfield savior. Inter Milan offers €13 million for Viana. Sporting Lisbon responds, Hugo is not for sale. A continuous stream of terrifying talent. Simeo, Quaresma, Viana. No wonder Sporting Lisbon can challenge for the UEFA Cup. A rising star emerges. Viana's highlights go viral in Italy. Inter Milan fans, buy Viana, and Inter Milan can challenge for the Champions League next year. Inter Milan fans, Seedorf looks like a sapper in front of Viana. Pirlo is 3 years older than Viana, but he really should learn from Viana. Inter Milan fans, Viana is the Zidane-style midfielder Inter Milan needs most. He can not only organize the team perfectly, but he can also solve the game single-handedly. Lisbon, Triguero's office. Do you think the Italians have bad taste? Why are they so obsessed with Viana? Maxa asked, holding a cup of tea with the lid on, completely puzzled. Wow, I'd like to say that to Viana, Deng Kai said, pushing open the door. Maxa quickly brought him the tea. That's not what I meant. Viana is certainly excellent. But, the Italians are exaggerating Viana's abilities. I may not understand football, but I understand teams. Whether it's team leadership, actual performance on the field, initiative, or fit within the team, Viana isn't the absolute best. Maxa voiced his concerns. Triguero nodded in agreement. Deng Kai smiled slightly. So, this is what they mean by circumstances make heroes. The Italians are really good at creating stars. Viana's physical attributes are definitely among the best in this team. He's much more handsome than Simeo and Quaresma, and once he develops, his commercial value will be very high. His playing style is also quite dazzling, combining the ingenuity of a midfielder with the sharpness of a striker. Crucially, he's the same age as Quaresma, and at 18, he can sign a formal contract anywhere. While players like me and Ronaldo can't sign professional contracts in some places, but that brings a whole host of problems. Especially Viana's speed in attacking runs is outstanding among midfielders. In the current environment of Serie A, to survive in midfield, you need speed, especially for smaller midfielders. Inter Milan has already understood this principle with Pirlo. Even such an excellent Pirlo can only sit on the bench at Inter Milan, right? His pecking order isn't lower than Seedorf's, it's even lower than the team's veteran Farinas. A midfielder like him without speed simply can't succeed in Serie A, unless he plays a deeper position. For Italians, Viana's only drawback is that he hasn't yet made a name for himself. Big leagues love established players. But there's a special case, those who have witnessed the opponent's prowess in European competitions. Take Shevchenko, for example, who has risen to fame like a rocket in the last 2 years. AC Milan managed to find Shevchenko in European competitions. Why can't Inter Milan find a midfielder like Costa and Figo? Next time we play Inter Milan, they'll most likely change their formation, Triguero said, getting back to the point. They're expected to revert to a 4-defender formation 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. Because of this, we'll make significant rotations in the weekend's league match. We must overcome this mountain of Inter Milan. You led your team to victory against Inter Milan, earning the sleepy eyes of Pirlo dropped by a star player. Pirlo's sleepy eyes. Pirlo envies your freedom on the field, especially the way you can strategize from the back. Vision is forcibly increased to level 9 after equipping. Deng Kai also found a good item in his post-match rewards, level 9 vision. It'll be full soon. Deng Kai's current Guardiola's tiers has boosted his vision to level 8, which is already quite useful. But since there's level 9, who would use level 8? Although Guardiola completely outclasses Pirlo as a coach, in terms of achievements and influence as a player, Guardiola can't even come close to Pirlo. Pirlo was the first deep-lying midfield core, redefining the existence of a position on the field. And as an absolute starter, he reached his peak at both AC Milan and Juventus. You removed Guardiola's tiers, and the star drop into the moment card. The origin of Guardiola's conjecture. The origin of Guardiola's conjecture. Guardiola always likes to try new failures in important matches, perhaps stemming from his own over-understanding of his position during his playing days, leading to boredom. You will experience the full capabilities of peak Guardiola in one match, feeling Guardiola's understanding of football. Sure enough, Hughes made good use of what he had. Guardiola didn't leave, he just accompanied Deng Kai in a different way. This moment card is definitely Deng Kai's most prized possession right now, far more useful than Sek's moment card. Guardiola is awesome. February 19th, the 22nd round of the Portuguese League. Sporting Lisbon made extensive rotations. Players including Deng Kai, Ronaldo, Viana, Quaresma, and Matthäus were all on the bench and did not play the entire match. In the end, the team drew 0-0 with their opponents. After this match, the entire Sporting Lisbon team flew to Milan, Italy the next day. 2 days later, they would host their UEFA Cup round of 16 second leg match at the San Siro Stadium. This was likely to be the most important match for Sporting Lisbon this season. The result of this match would have a profound impact on all the talented players on the team. As soon as Sporting Lisbon's plane landed, Deng Kai and his team felt the enthusiasm of Milan. Viana. 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 There were even Inter Milan fans wearing blue and black jerseys who formed a welcoming formation for Viana. That's outrageous. Ronaldo was very unhappy and took the lead without stopping. He didn't have a problem with Viana, he just felt unhappy whenever he wasn't the center of attention, not targeting anyone in particular, but purely struggling with himself. Viana stayed behind to greet the fans, and the other players didn't bother him. This is where top players should be, Ibrahimovic said, looking at Viana and the enthusiastic fans with a hint of envy. If I were Viana, I wouldn't know how to play against Inter Milan, Drogba bluntly stated. Inter Milan practically treats Viana like one of their own. Look at their eyes, it's absolute affection. I've never seen that kind of look in the eyes of any other club's fans. Chapter 307 Luo, if you don't work harder, you'll only be second. Barzagli breathed in the Italian air, his heart filled with longing. After all, this is Milan. Of course, we should crush them first. Deng Kai answered Drogba's question. To join a team, you don't need to flatter them, you just need to crush them first. The consequences of the former are often not good, just like I said before, stars who actively join Barcelona usually don't have a good ending. Viana performed very well in the last game, hopefully he can continue this time. Pepe, somewhat puzzled, asked in a low voice, Kai, I don't mean to stir up trouble, I just simply feel, are you really not affected at all? You are the core of this team, Viana himself knows your role in the team. But now, he is the one being linked with Inter Milan, people think he is Costa plus Figo, what are you thinking? Font was also eavesdropping. He was also very curious about this. Viana, born in 1983, became famous early, even entering Sporting Lisbon's first team before Font, born in 1982. But the younger generation is pushing the older one aside, and now the core of this team is Deng Kai. And it's not just his role on the field. Off the field, Deng Kai is also the opinion leader for the younger players. Except for Viana and Quaresma, everyone listens to Deng Kai. And Viana and Quaresma can't disagree with Deng Kai on anything, the respect and freedom they receive in the team are thanks to him. Deng Kai also has a good relationship with veteran stars like Matthäus, and he's always included in coaching meetings. If Deng Kai gives the word, Font is guaranteed to make things difficult for Viana. Font himself doesn't have much ability. If he didn't have strong connections, why would he be a starter on this team? Maxa has praised Font many times, saying he sees a younger version of himself in him. Hey guys, you've got something wrong. Deng Kai knows many people are eavesdropping. Recently, because of Viana's overnight fame, a different atmosphere has formed. If this atmosphere continues to spread and deteriorate, Sporting Lisbon will be in big trouble. Deng Kai bluntly stated, in other teams, it might be rare for a player to suddenly become a sensation. But in this Sporting Lisbon team, I advise everyone to get used to it as soon as possible. Because almost everyone on this team is a genius. Believe me, every single one of you will become a renowned star in the future. The only difference is sooner or later. Therefore, I never envy anyone, and we don't need to speculate about who will become who, not one or two, not three or four, but every single one, understand? Think about how cool this is. No team in history has ever had a player like us, where every single one will become a superstar. Isn't that more interesting than just one person becoming a star? Deng Kai pointed at Ibrahimovic and said, you, the Swedish genius, the European Footballer of the Year. You'll be winning the Swedish Footballer of the Year award until your legs are sore. You'll become the most talented center forward. Drogba. You're the future African Footballer of the Year. In a few years, your problem won't be breaking your goal drought, but choosing between the French national team and the Ivory Coast team. Drogba laughed heartily. If I had the right to refuse a call-up from the French national team, I would definitely choose Ivory Coast. Deng Kai, Barzagli, you can choose any of the Italian football giants. Barzagli, then I'll choose Juventus. I prefer Juventus to Inter Milan. Haha. Deng Kai, Pepe, the Portuguese and Brazilian national teams are vying for you. Pepe, I'll have to think about it carefully. Portugal really isn't competitive. But if Ronaldo and you were both there, I might consider it. Deng Kai, Terry, needless to say, captain of Chelsea, hello. Terry, haha, if I could really wear the Chelsea captain's armband, I would definitely find a way to invite you talented guys to join. In this world, it's not scarcity that's the problem, but inequality. If the opportunity to be favored by a top club is only once, then whoever gets that opportunity will inevitably be envied by others. But in Deng Kai's description, such opportunities are readily available, everyone has them. So what's there to be jealous of? Just play your own football well. Font, who wasn't mentioned, felt a little uneasy. How come everyone had a place in Deng Kai's heart? What would his future achievements be in Deng Kai's eyes? Font, Kai, what about me? Font, will I join a top club in the future? Deng Kai nodded, hello, Chinese Super League legend. After a while, Viana finally escaped the Inter Milan fans and came aboard. I bet you're excited because you received a passionate kiss from a female fan. Deng Kai pointed to the lip print on Viana's face. Viana made a face. I was indeed very excited, but that was a male fan. Ha ha ha. Everyone on the bus burst into laughter. Although Viana didn't know what had happened, he felt a certain barrier between himself and his teammates suddenly broken down. He felt a lot, blessings he had never experienced before. After Deng Kai returned to his seat, Cristiano Ronaldo gently patted him on the shoulder. Me? Damn it, even if you're just bragging, you shouldn't forget Sporting Lisbon's top scorer, right? Deng Kai shrugged, you're different from them. You have to work harder, Ronaldo. Ronaldo frowned, you don't think much of my future? Deng Kai shook his head, no, it's just... Ronaldo, if you don't work harder, you'll only be the second best footballer on the planet. Ronaldo immediately got angry, damn it. After this match, I'm going to train extra hard when I get back to Lisbon. I knew I couldn't let Jardel surpass my goal tally. I'm going to beat Jardel, I'm going to become the best footballer. Watching Ronaldo's inner turmoil, Deng Kai's lips curled into a smile. Ronaldo, I wasn't talking about Jardel. Inter Milan's do or die battle. Sporting Lisbon's youth team versus the Nerazzurri, who do you support? The test of goods. After Inter Milan's €10 million offer for Viana, can Viana deliver a matching performance? Perlo, don't mention Viana in front of me. My competitor isn't him, it's myself. Seedorf, Viana isn't a tough opponent. In the next game, I'll show you the difference between a superstar and an ordinary player. Duncan, Seedorf and Perlo are both excellent midfielders, but can Inter Milan please let their core, starting players give interviews instead of always using substitutes? Ronaldo, I don't mind the media's neglect, I'm only focused on becoming the top scorer in the Portuguese league. Chapter 308 The Limitations of Grassroots Players. Before the match, both teams gave numerous interviews, exchanging barbs and effectively generating buzz. This resulted in a packed San Siro stadium on match day. All 76,000 fans were Inter Milan. The stadium was filled with Inter flags, giant posters of players like Vieri, Recoba, and Zanetti, and even a poster of Ronaldo. It's worth noting that Ronaldo, after returning from injury last April or May, suffered another serious injury after only 15 minutes, remaining sidelined for a year. Inter Milan fans will have to wait at least 2 more months to see him play here. The Inter players in front of them were even more familiar with Viana, a player they had only known for less than 10 days, than Ronaldo. They knew Viana's physical and match statistics by heart, but had almost forgotten Ronaldo's face. As Treguret predicted, Inter Milan did indeed change their formation for this match. The starting lineup, consisting of Vieri, Recoba, Farinas, Pirlo, Seedorf, Di Biagio, Cordoba, Blanco, Ferrari, Zanetti, and Frey, appears to be a 4-4-2, but Seedorf and Pirlo might drop deeper, with Recoba playing as an attacking midfielder or shadow striker, making the structure closer to 4-2-3-1. Vieri is the lone striker for this team. Sporting Lisbon, on the other hand, fielded a traditional formation, with Drogba starting. The starting chants from the stadium were incredibly loud, leaving many of Sporting Lisbon's young players somewhat bewildered. The intimidating atmosphere of the home crowd was evident. Just 3 minutes into the game, Font, facing Vieri's pressure, hesitated to pass to Barzagli on the right wing, opting instead to pass directly towards Deschamps, who appeared to have more space. Recoba, lurking nearby, made a lateral run, cutting between Deschamps and the ball, and intercepted it. Recoba received the ball just outside the penalty area, unmarked, and easily dribbled into the box. Vieri was still making runs and pulls inside the penalty area, making it impossible for Schmeichel to come out. Bang! Recoba curled a shot. The ball easily found the back of the net. Goal. Recoba. Inter Milan's most loyal player, Recoba, has scored. So fast. Just 3 minutes into the game. This goal was assisted by Font. Looks like Font really wants to join Inter Milan. Is this a pledge of allegiance? Haha, just kidding. Font is probably too nervous. Mainly because Font didn't expect even a superstar like Vieri to participate in pressing. He's clearly panicked. So, Inter Milan wins the second leg 1-0, the aggregate score is 4-4, but they have 3 away goals, so now they are the ones qualified for the next round. Inter Milan fans were ecstatic. It seems that after all the twists and turns, although they lost the first leg, they ultimately advanced. They could completely accept this result. They never considered what would happen if they were eliminated from the UEFA Cup. With their current squad, reaching the semifinals would be a real shame. They absolutely had to reach the final. As Inter Milan scored, the atmosphere in the stadium grew even more heated. The decibel level in the stadium exploded, almost reaching a new high for the season. In fact, Inter Milan fans had been frustrated for most of the season. Being eliminated in the group stage of the Champions League was a disgrace. In the league, they lost almost every match against strong teams, leaving Inter Milan fans feeling utterly ashamed. A week ago, they were defeated by a small Portuguese team. If they didn't bounce back, the fans would really have no choice but to blame their own players and management. In the 9th minute, Font passed the ball across to Barzagli, who, facing pressure from Farinas, made a mistake. His attempt to chip the ball to Deschamps was far too sloppy. Crucially, the pass was too long, ending up at Pirlo's feet. Pirlo immediately launched a through ball. Recoba received the ball and was one-on-one with the goalkeeper. At a crucial moment, Matthäus made a diving tackle to clear the ball out of bounds. Sporting Lisbon conceded a corner. Barzagli is nervous. Maxa knew all too well how Barzagli felt at that moment. In Italy, Barzagli is undoubtedly a loser. Even though he experienced a rebirth in Lisbon, he still doubts his own abilities deep down. He lacks confidence, at least when he stepped onto Italian soil again, his confidence was gone. Moreover, he was facing some of Italy's top players, and he couldn't adapt to the excitement and anxiety of playing against them. This is where grassroots players are inferior to those who achieve early success. The same situation wouldn't happen to players like Ibrahimovic and Quaresma. But Barzagli, Font, and even Drogba in the forward line would. In the 11th minute, Font, having the option to clear the ball, opted for a safer approach and cleared it out of bounds. This directly led to applause from the fans. Because there was no one around him, he could have easily caught a ball. Font was clearly too nervous, afraid of making a mistake. Even the side of the ball felt like it was burning his foot. Pirlo then took a corner kick. Inter Milan centre-back Blanc leaped high and headed the ball into the net. Well done. Blanco. This is the strength of a center-back in the Euro 2016 All-Star team. 2-0. Inter Milan are 2 goals ahead. 5-4 on aggregate. They've found themselves and are playing with the strength of a Serie A super club. Sporting Lisbon look weak and pathetic in front of them. These young guys are completely stunned. On the Sporting Lisbon side, Deng Kai immediately started giving instructions. Font, if you let one more man slip by, you're getting off the field. Pepe plays a million times better than you. Barzagli, have you already signed with Inter Milan? Are you afraid of hurting their players? Be more aggressive. If you can't handle fairness, that's a crime, you know? That's just fairness, don't treat him like Vieri. Terry, keep an eye on Recoba, he's getting too many chances, you know what I mean. Matos, get moving. It's not time for you to rest yet. This defense needs your help. This is the time to show the Ballon d'Or winner is different from the other players. Deschamps, you need to move back. You've become their weak point. Try to pass the ball out with one touch as much as possible. Their midfield and attacking areas are pressing very hard. If we slow down, we'll suffer. While the opponent was celebrating, Deng Kai kept directing his teammates. Finally, he found Viana. Viana, I'll drop back to help the team pass the ball out. From now on, the team's attack will all be entrusted to you. Chapter 309 Another Ronaldo. Play like you did in the last game, you can do it. Attack their center, especially behind Seedorf. Pirlo is paper in front of you, break through him, understand? Viana gave an okay sign. Additionally, Deng Kai gestured to Quaresma, indicating that he should boldly try attacking, especially with individual dribbling. At this point, only creating scoring opportunities can stifle the opponent's offensive momentum. Throwing balls is useless. Inter Milan has enough defenders today, closely marking and not giving Ronaldo or Quaresma any space to sprint. The ball was then kicked off. Sporting Lisbon began to control the ball in their own half, tentatively attacking on the flanks, failing to create any beautiful combinations, and immediately passing back when encountering defense. Inter Milan fans booed, finding this style of play laughable. In the 15th minute, the ball came to the right flank. Quaresma received the ball but didn't immediately pass back. Instead, he used a backheel flick to dribble past a defender and then dribbled forward on the right flank. Quaresma suddenly made a move, but in a one-on-one situation with Cordoba, the ball went out of bounds. Cordoba yelled at Pirlo and Fariness, believing they had let the opponent through too easily. In the 22nd minute, Quaresma received the ball but was pressed by Pirlo, so he immediately passed it back. Deschamps received the ball and continued to pass it back. Barzagli received the ball and passed it to the returning Duncan. Bang! Duncan lofted the ball from the backfield to the retreating Drogba. Drogba chested the ball down and found Viana. Viana dribbled forward, accelerating past Seedorf. Seedorf hadn't expected Viana to be so bold and couldn't keep up. Pirlo immediately covered, because Seedorf frequently made forward runs, and Pirlo was playing like a defensive midfielder today. But the key is, he can't play defensive midfield. Especially not a defensive midfielder. Having him as a defensive anchor is a complete disaster. Whistle. The referee blew his whistle and showed Pirlo a yellow card. Pirlo had just fouled Viana, otherwise, Viana would have been in the penalty area. The surrounding fans applauded, some encouraging Viana's elegant style of play, others expressing dissatisfaction with Pirlo's weak defense. They looked down on the limp Pirlo. That sleepy-eyed look, did he think he was McGrady? Viana's subsequent free kick went just over the crossbar, giving Inter fans a scare. In the 31st minute, Sporting Lisbon maintained control of the ball for much of the game. Their players, through constant touches, found their rhythm and relaxed. Bang! Deng Kai saw an opportunity on the right flank and delivered a long pass. Quaresma dropped back, and Drogba moved to the right, finding space behind Cordoba. The pass was positioned on the right flank, slightly off-center. Drogba almost effortlessly shook off Cordoba with a flick of his wrist. Cordoba never imagined that a giant like Drogba would be so fast. Crucially, Drogba was also incredibly strong in physical duels, easily overwhelming Cordoba in every way. For the first time, Cordoba was completely passive, ultimately watching as Drogba controlled the ball and dribbled into the penalty area. Of course, if Cordoba were playing center-back, he wouldn't be so passive, but he was playing left-back today. If Inter Milan's squad in recent years has been described as having a strong midfield and a solid back, Then they have a position even weaker than midfield, left back. This hole is incredibly difficult to fill. Some Inter fans even suggest that what Inter Milan needs most isn't Ronaldo or Vieri, but rather the position Italy has no shortage of star players in, left back. They should buy Maldini from AC Milan. Whistle. The referee blew the whistle again. As Drogba charged into the penalty area, his impact was too strong, and Blanc gave him a very tough physical challenge. But unexpectedly, Drogba, seemingly foolish, played very intelligently. He was easily brought down in the penalty area, winning a penalty. Drogba's fall wasn't particularly clever. If Blanc hadn't exerted force, Drogba might have even received a yellow card for diving. But Blanc wasn't fooled by Drogba's honest face, he fell for it. Quaresma walked to the penalty spot. Oh, it's Sporting Lisbon's top young star, Quaresma. He's the team's first-choice penalty taker and free-kick taker. However, Quaresma's form hasn't been great lately. Trigura even substituted him early, which shows his status in the team isn't as high as everyone thinks. Barcelona has always wanted this star. Last year, they didn't get him for €7 million, and this year they'll have to spend at least €15 million. Of course, as an Inter Milan fan, if I had €15 million, I wouldn't buy Quaresma, I'd buy Viana. Or rather, if you're going to value a player on this team at over €20 million, I think Viana is more worthwhile. Bang! Quaresma took the penalty. But perhaps because he was too eager to prove he didn't care, his penalty kick wasn't of high quality. Powerful, but the angle was ordinary. Inter Milan goalkeeper Frey saved the penalty. But the next moment, the ball came back and nestled into the net. Oh. It's Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo. The other Ronaldo that Deng Kai mentioned. His positioning was brilliant, he finished the rebound. Frey complained that Ronaldo moved too early, but the referee thought it was a good goal. 2-1. Sporting Lisbon has pulled one back. The aggregate score is now 5-5. However, Inter Milan still has the away goals advantage, so far, they still advance. But this penalty, especially this rebound, is crucial. It has given Sporting Lisbon's young team some much-needed form. Scoring goals is very important for a striker. Before Ronaldo scored, most of his runs were meaningless. It wasn't that he ran poorly, but Zanetti wasn't fooled by feints. Zanetti only needed to keep an eye on Ronaldo, but didn't need to run around with him. And today, with Sporting Lisbon's wide circle style of play, if Ronaldo didn't drop back, it was difficult for him to reach the ball. So his runs were truly meaningless. But everything changed after Ronaldo scored. His runs became a serious threat to Zanetti, creating a stretch of space and subtly shifting the positions of Zanetti, Pirlo, and other players. In the 38th minute, Viana evaded Seedorf and delivered a through ball. Ronaldo accelerated down the wing, engaging Zanetti in a fierce battle. Zanetti tried to use his physicality to create problems for Ronaldo, but even without strength training, Ronaldo's physical attributes were impressive. In the ensuing run, Ronaldo gradually gained the upper hand. Chapter 310 at 7, not 9. Zanetti eventually poked the ball out of bounds. After Viana took the throw-in, Ronaldo charged at Zanetti from his spot, but Seedorf, who had tracked back, poked the ball away. Matthäus reacted quickly, fouling Seedorf and committing a standard tactical foul to prevent a counter-attack. However, this series of confrontations was enough to make Zanetti realize how troublesome Ronaldo was. In the 41st minute, Duncan, who was passing the ball in the backfield, suddenly launched a long pass deep into the left flank. Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo again. Duncan's shot was clearly aimed at Ronaldo. Zanetti was too close to midfield when he was following Ronaldo, leaving a lot of space behind him. This is Ronaldo's second charge of the game. Zanetti is struggling to keep up. He's past him. Ronaldo cuts inside past Zanetti. He's not as agile as Viana, just pure speed. Shot, sigh. This quality shot is a bit weak. Corner kick. Ronaldo has won a corner for his team. If Ronaldo had passed back to Viana, Viana could have passed the ball to either Drogba or Quaresma, and their shooting angles would have been much better than Ronaldo's. Ronaldo isn't very good at passing. As a left winger, he's played almost 30 games this season, but hasn't had a single assist. Viana is struggling to carry Ronaldo. If Viana and Quaresma were to combine, Viana could score at least 5 or 6 more goals this season. The commentators clearly favored Viana. Did they consider that without Cristiano Ronaldo, whose goal-scoring efficiency surpasses Quaresma's, Viana's assist numbers might have been even lower. In the stands, many Inter Milan fans were secretly scouts for various teams, AC Milan, Lazio, Atalanta, Parma, Fiorentina, but not Fiorentina, who are currently facing a financial crisis and considering selling Rui Costa to tide them over. Most of these scouts were there to see Viana, but some were there to witness Inter's misfortune. After watching half the game, many veteran scouts had a question on their minds. Where did this Deng Kai come from? Was it really Viana who led the team to victory against Inter Milan? Are you sure Inter Milan's sporting director isn't this Deng Kai? This Deng Kai is amazing. Although he's not particularly outstanding and plays deeper, his style of play is unstoppable. Most of Sporting Lisbon's threatening attacks so far have originated from Deng Kai's instigation. While the most impactful players are Viana, Ronaldo, Quaresma, and even Drogba, Deng Kai has played a crucial role in almost every attack. He knows where the ball should be, his style of play is very sophisticated. He's a true playmaker. Deng Kai's vision is incredible. Many of his passes seem simple and logical, but upon closer inspection, they seem unbelievable. How does he see those opportunities? I even think Inter Milan should have bought Deng Kai instead of Viana. Many scouts were shocked by their own thoughts. This was too outrageous. A boy not even 16 years old? That age immediately put them off. For most teams, an 18-year-old player is already considered unreliable, and even if they perform well, they need to be observed further. Let alone a 15-year-old? These days, the odds of winning the lottery aren't so high. Most players don't become regular starters until their 20s. At the corner flag, Deng Kai was gesturing to his teammates, outlining corner kick tactics. His every move revealed his status within the team. An ordinary player wouldn't proactively make these arrangements at this point, they would simply follow training instructions. They lacked that kind of initiative. Bang! Deng Kai took the corner kick. A flurry of activity ensued in the penalty area. Inter Milan's players had no idea who Deng Kai was targeting. But Sporting Lisbon's players knew, because Director Kai's instructions were clear. Everyone else's runs were designed to create opportunities for one person. Bang! Font leaped high, his square head heading the round ball into the net. The next moment, he rushed towards the corner flag, but was brought down by Drogba halfway there. Oh! It's Font. He actually scored. This is this player's first goal in the UEFA Cup. He broke through Inter Milan's goal. Font isn't a particularly talented player, this might even be the highlight of his life. He's so lucky. Most importantly, at the beginning of the match, his mistake led to Recoba's lightning-fast goal. Font has now redeemed himself. This is a golden goal. 2-2. Sporting Lisbon equalizes. The aggregate score is now 6-5. Sporting Lisbon overtakes Inter Milan and advances to the next round. Are they going to eliminate Inter Milan at the San Siro? This is unbelievable. The Sporting Lisbon players celebrated wildly. They had defeated Inter Milan. Font was almost moved to tears. He was pushed to the bottom by everyone, reaching out his hand to Deng Kai, who was walking towards him from afar. It was Deng Kai who made it possible for him. Deng Kai gestured for a corner kick, not only indicating he would find Font but also instructing his teammates to cover for him. Is this the treatment a mediocre center-back deserves? In terms of heading, Drogba and Barzagli are ahead of Font, their heading ability is better. But when Deng Kai joined the stacking game, Font was left hopeless. He was at the very bottom. While pressing down on his teammates, Deng Kai questioned Ronaldo, "I didn't see that coming, Ronaldo. I told you to find me, and you just made a covering run. It's hard to imagine you pulling me aside to score for Font." Ronaldo looked bewildered. Huh? Isn't the number 9 tactic supposed to be targeting Font? Your gesture meant for me to pull him aside? I hate pulling others aside the most, I'm always unhappy about it. Deng Kai clenched his right fist, extended his index finger, and then curled it up. This is the 9, I was fucking making a 7. The whole team was stunned. Drogba said with a bitter face, "So the Chinese numbers and gestures that Ronaldo taught us are wrong? Ronaldo, your Chinese isn't standard enough." Ronaldo shook his head. "Impossible, I learned the standard version. 7 should be the thumb, index finger, and middle finger pinched together." Deng Kai slapped his forehead. "Oh, that's my problem. In my hometown of Sichuan, many people make a gesture for 7 that looks a bit like 9, but the bend isn't as pronounced. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311 Perlo, football should be played like this. Font listened silently from the bottom of the court, tears streaming down his face. Damn. So Ronaldo wasn't looking for him, he was looking for Ronaldo. Am I some kind of devil? But he couldn't really blame Ronaldo, since it was Ronaldo who wasn't the standard player. The number 7 tactic was Ronaldo's second set-piece tactic. The number 9 tactic was a supplementary tactic centered around Font. But these two tactics were ranked too low. Training usually only involved practicing the first 5 tactics. So no one had noticed the problem. Shortly after, the referee blew the whistle to end the first half. Both sides entered halftime. Although only half a match had been played, Sporting Lisbon's players were severely fatigued because their opponent was Inter Milan. They performed better in running and tackling, which allowed them to achieve a 2-2 score at halftime. Trigura only encouraged everyone and didn't make any changes to the formation, because the situation was currently favorable for Sporting Lisbon. Returning for the second half, Inter Milan clearly had more energy. They launched an aggressive attack. Vieri's drawing effect was very obvious, and Sporting Lisbon's defenders had to be wary of him. On the other hand, Drogba made a lot of meaningless runs in the attacking third. His footwork was practically non-existent. This was Trigura's requirement for Drogba. When the team is relatively passive, the center forward's runs won't threaten the opponent. You might run 10 times, and the opponent will only react 2 or 3 times, following your run. Your exertion is far greater than the opponent's. But when your team is in control, almost every run by the center forward can draw the opponent's attention, and many of these runs can create tactical opportunities. Therefore, it's rare for a center forward to constantly run and attack the opponent's defense when in a passive situation. But this is also why Drogba is able to start for this talented team. He is the only Sporting Lisbon player willing to run so hard. Ronaldo on the left and Quaresma on the right are almost catching a cold from the cold. But Drogba is panting heavily. In the 62nd minute, Seedorf broke through and passed the ball. Vieri received the ball, pulled it back and faked out Font, and then shot. Matthäus returned just in time, diving to block the ball with a sliding tackle, proving his enduring skill. However, he then remained on the pitch. Sporting Lisbon's team doctor entered the field, examined him, and signaled a substitution. Matthäus couldn't continue. Injured. Oh. This isn't good news for Sporting Lisbon. Their usual substitute defensive midfielder is Pepe, but this young Brazilian player has a bad temper and poor positional awareness. His defensive quality is far inferior to Matthäus's. Pepe came on as a substitute, and Inter Milan's coach signaled for a strong attack down the middle, targeting Pepe. That's a bit unfair. In the 67th minute, substitute Pepe withstood the test. He made a brilliant interception with his excellent explosiveness. It's hard to say what would have happened with Matthäus, but with Deschamps, this through ball would have been possible. Pepe's sweeping range and ability are clearly superior to Deschamps. He's not as weak as Inter Milan's players imagined. Pepe passed a ball to Deng Kai. Deng Kai immediately launched a counter-attack down the middle, sending a through ball to Viana. The central clash was deadly. Viana, after letting the ball pass past his marker, accelerated and launched a run down the middle. Blanco rushed out to defend Viana. Viana chipped the ball to the right wing. Quaresma cut inside without the ball, and without hesitation, delivered a first-time cross into the penalty area. Drogba, holding off Ferrari in the box, received the ball, turned, and unleashed a shot. Unfortunately, Ferrari's challenge was strong enough that Drogba's leg faltered slightly, and his shot went wide. Ferrari's a reliable veteran centre-back for Inter Milan. If Inter had maintained their 3-man defense, they would have undoubtedly conceded a goal. For Sporting Lisbon, from interception to the final shot, the entire attack took less than 15 seconds. It was a textbook counter-attack. Pepe, Viana, Quaresma, and Drogba all performed admirably, creating opportunities and displaying flair. Quaresma, in particular, was remarkably quiet under Cordoba's defense, only managing to create threats through quick passes. 3 minutes later, Trigura found an opportunity to replace Drogba. Drogba had overexerted himself today, and his stamina was clearly waning. However, this also meant he caused considerable trouble for the two center-backs, Blanco and Ferrari. In the 75th minute, Pepe's poor positional awareness became apparent. He was drawn to Seedorf, allowing Di Biagio an easy opportunity to cut inside. Di Biagio played a through ball to Recoba, who scored. But just as he was celebrating, the linesman raised his flag, indicating offside, and the goal was disallowed. Inter Milan fans began to panic. Time was running out. Just one more goal would put them ahead. But Sporting Lisbon's tenacious resistance delayed that goal. In the 78th minute, Inter Milan pressed hard, forcing Sporting Lisbon to pass the ball back. After Ronaldo's back pass, Pirlo suddenly pressed forward. But he wasn't fast enough. Before he could close in, Deng Kai had already completed the pass. Pirlo looked somewhat frustrated. He thought he could make the tackle, he was confident in his judgment. But it turned out that while he was right and accelerated suddenly, he underestimated the speed of Deng Kai's pass. Deng Kai's first-time pass seemed almost childish to Pirlo. But ironically, this seemingly childish pass was effective. Right wing. Deng Kai made a first-time pass directly to the right wing. How did he see the opportunity there? Ronaldo's back pass was a bit weak, the ball rolled a little slowly, giving Deng Kai a minor but challenging situation. Pirlo is very clever, he wanted to capitalize on this opportunity. Once he intercepts Deng Kai, he can shoot from a distance, pass, or advance the ball, it's a huge threat. But Deng Kai's pass was even faster than Pirlo anticipated. Despite being in the left defensive midfield position, Deng Kai was able to pass directly to the right wing while under pressure. His vision is truly amazing. Ibrahimovic and Quaresma had previously switched positions. If Deng Kai had targeted Quaresma on the right wing, it wouldn't have been a good pass. Quaresma struggled to get the ball under pressure from Cordoba, he almost never won a duel today. But since it was Ibrahimovic on the right wing, it was a brilliant pass from Deng Kai. Beautiful. Ibrahimovic is so tall, he controlled the ball without even jumping. Cordoba suffered a height disadvantage against Ibrahimovic. He suffered the same disadvantage against Drogba. Chapter 312 Corner Kick Time Constraining Tactics. Ibrahimovic shoved Cordoba aside. Oh. His footwork was so fancy. Ibrahimovic's style is different from what we expected, he completely dominated Cordoba like a winger. He carried Cordoba all the way to the edge of the penalty area. Blanco came up, double-teaming him. Ibrahimovic had been dribbling too much, he's in trouble now, a backheel pass. Ibrahimovic actually held off Cordoba, backheeling through Blanco's legs, sending the ball out. That was a work of art. Ibrahimovic is truly bold, meticulous, and technically gifted. Viana burst into the penalty area, unleashing a powerful shot from the penalty spot. So decisive. Frey was only halfway out of his goal. Viana's powerful shot found the back of the net. 3-2. Sporting Lisbon extended their lead. My God. The aggregate score is now 7-5. Sporting Lisbon has a 2-goal advantage. Viana killed the game. Inter Milan needs to score 2 goals to equalize. And just equalize. With Viana's goal, Sporting Lisbon's away goals total is now 3, meaning Inter Milan's away goal advantage is gone. Even more so, if Sporting Lisbon scores another goal, Inter Milan will need to score 4 to win. A nightmare. Viana is Inter Milan's nightmare. So far, in 2 matches against Inter Milan, he has scored 3 goals and provided 1 assist, he's practically unstoppable. On the broadcast, Viana raised his hands high, like a king descending. The entire Inter Milan fan stadium was silent, they didn't even boo Viana. They were completely defeated by Viana. Then, Inter Milan began their final desperate attempt. They substituted the ineffective Pirlo on the exhausted Di Biagio, bringing on 2 center forwards. One was Inter Milan's legendary center forward, Zamorano, known as the terrifying Ivanovic. This is one of the most illustrious names in Chilean football history. During his time at Real Madrid, he won the La Liga top scorer title. While playing for Inter Milan, he was the most important player in Inter's 1998 UEFA Cup victory. However, with the arrival of Vieri and Ronaldo, and his advancing age, he gradually became a substitute, though he could still keep Inter alive in crucial moments. Another is the Turkish legend, Hakan Şükür. This Bosphorus bull is considered one of Europe's best scorers. In his 4 seasons with Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League, he scored a total of 85 goals, an efficiency comparable to Messi and Ronaldo in later generations, making him arguably the most prolific striker. Although he only joined Inter Milan this season, The reason he joined was because he led Galatasaray to the UEFA Cup victory last season. Yes, he and Zamorano have both won the UEFA Cup, which is the very match they are playing right now. Playing them is an increase in both strength and luck. Inter Milan is playing with a supernatural. However, Hakan Şüker's most legendary story isn't in football. In August 2016, he was suspected of participating in an armed coup and was wanted by Turkey. He later went into exile in the United States, making a living as a ride-hailing driver. This experience is exactly the same as some unspeakable people. So there are really many talented people in football. Besides those who can become president like Weah, there are also those who fail as presidents. This time, the substitution of 4 center forwards clearly had a miraculous effect. In the 82nd minute, the experienced Zamorano made a ghostly run in the penalty area. Zanetti on the right wing crossed a ball to the near post, and Zamorano's movement coincided perfectly. Zamorano headed the ball into the goal. Goal. Zamorano. Terrifying Ivan. He's here. He's here to save Inter. 3-3. Zamorano has equalized for Inter. The aggregate score is 6-7. Just one more goal and Inter can force extra time. The fans in the stadium started singing Inter Milan's anthem. They're in high spirits. This is the most dazzling team in Europe. This is Italy's top powerhouse. How can they fall here? Inter Milan is a team with European competition genes. They won the UEFA Cup 3 years ago, and they will definitely overcome this challenge this year. You can imagine how angry the Inter Milan players would be if, in such an exciting situation, a player took a tactical corner kick, wasting time in the corner flag area. That player was Deng Kai. After the team won the corner kick, Deng Kai told Ronaldo to take it, and then stood near the corner flag area himself. Ronaldo was stunned. Is it really necessary, bro? There were still at least 5 minutes left in regular time. With at least 5 minutes of added time, using such a shameless time-wasting tactic in just 10 minutes is far too early. The fans will be furious. But Deng Kai not only remained unfazed, he even called for Ronaldo to set a screen for him. Ronaldo, under immense pressure, blocked Seedorf's approach. But he couldn't keep blocking indefinitely. This illegal screen couldn't last long. A chorus of curses erupted from the stands. Inter fans weren't against their team losing, even to a small Portuguese team. The problem was the shamelessness of their time-wasting tactics. 10 minutes. What an outrageous act. Recoba, trying to get past Ronaldo, struggled several times but still couldn't get the ball from Deng Kai. Deng Kai practically leaned his entire body on Recoba. Recoba, desperate for the ball, was momentarily pinned down by Deng Kai. An enraged Cordoba charged from behind and knocked Deng Kai down. The referee blew his whistle. Cordoba had fouled. Inter players complained incessantly, lodging a complaint with the referee. They could give Sporting Lisbon a free kick, but they couldn't let this kid waste any more time. Sure enough, Deng Kai continued to have Ronaldo take tactical free kicks. Ronaldo was desperate. From that moment on, he knew he had no chance of joining a giant like Inter Milan. Because the fans hated him. Ronaldo looked at Viana, hoping Viana could come to his rescue. Wouldn't it be better for the two of you, with your excellent footwork, to take tactical free kicks? But unexpectedly, Viana cleverly avoided Ronaldo's gaze. To be honest, Viana still didn't want to cut off his path to joining a top club. He had a strong liking for Inter Milan. This team was perfect for him. His 2 best games this season were against Inter Milan. One should have a conscience. Subsequently, Seedorf paid the price with a yellow card. But after winning a free kick, Sporting Lisbon won a corner kick thanks to Deng Kai deliberately kicking the ball towards Şüker. Chapter 313 Deng Kai amidst a tide of negative reviews. Then came another round of tactical corner kicks, wasting time. The whole process lasted intermittently for 6 minutes. This was described by Inter Milan players as a disgrace to football. But from a neutral perspective, Deng Kai's actions intensified Inter Milan's players' desire for time, putting them in a tense rhythm. This led to Inter Milan players, when given opportunities to control the ball and look for chances, directly launching long balls towards the center forward. Seemingly more direct, this actually took them further away from scoring. Crucially, these time-consuming long passes were almost all disrupted by Pepe, Font, Barzagli, and Terry. Sporting Lisbon's young defense might falter in crucial moments when defending against dribbling breakthroughs, but when it comes to defending against high balls, the young players are definitely good at jumping, especially the other three besides Font, who are incredibly athletic. Ultimately, the referee blew his whistle 3 times, adding 5 minutes of stoppage time and giving Inter Milan no more time. The entire stadium erupted in boos. If Inter Milan and Juventus are the Italian derby, and Inter Milan and AC Milan are the city derby, then these two teams are the teams they hate the most. Now, they have someone they despise even more. Yes, not a team, but a person. That is, the shameless Deng Kai. After the match, Inter Milan's players, coaches, fans, and media launched a massive verbal attack on Deng Kai, expressing the highest level of condemnation. La Repubblica, football scum. Deng Kai has utterly redefined the standards of football. This is incredibly disappointing. La Gazzetta dello Sport, we have witnessed the decline of football. Sporting Lisbon is not a problematic team, but Deng Kai's style of play is utterly disappointing. His choices do not reflect that of a true footballer. Inter Milan official website, we rarely welcome a player so unwelcome, but from this moment forward, Milan will never welcome Deng Kai again. He is a disgrace to football. Vieri, I can't judge everyone based on one person. But you have to admit, after playing against such a young player, I am truly disappointed with the current generation of young footballers. Suker, Deng Kai is wrong, he has made a huge mistake, and he will forever lose Inter Milan's respect. Football cannot be played like this. Every minute on the pitch should be for scoring goals, not for wasting time. Zamorano, it is regrettable to see the younger generation of players turn out like this. World football, I am sorry. Seedorf, I admit Viana is indeed talented, but I want to talk more about Duncan than anything else. His choice shames me as a fellow midfielder, and he has let down the 74,000 fans at the San Siro. Too many accusations came flooding in like a tidal wave. Inter Milan president Moratti offered a unique perspective. Deng Kai's behavior was certainly wrong, but we should consider how a young man under 16 could commit such heinous acts. I think someone instructed him to do this, or someone has been teaching him this way all along. Today they might teach him to waste time by any means necessary to win, tomorrow they might teach him to break a player's leg, and the day after that they might even teach him to deliberately lose for some purpose. I must say, AC Milan and Juventus deserve Deng Kai. Don't ask me why, because Inter Milan has suffered too much injustice against them. I think Sporting Lisbon's coaching is flawed, and coincidentally, their manager is Trigura, who is skilled at coaching young players. Therefore, I find it difficult to have a good opinion of Trigura. Deng Kai is wrong, but he is also a victim. Trigura is the instigator of all this. Trigura will spawn countless Deng Kais, which will destroy the entire European football system and cause football to lose its fans. It's truly too dark. Now I understand why a coach as excellent as Maxija can only be an assistant coach at a team like this. Because he refuses to compromise his integrity, because he can't stand the despicable behavior of Trigura and Duncan. I now formally invite Mr. Maxija to join Inter Milan. We may not have talented players like Viana or Quaresma right now, but we have the healthiest, brightest, and fairest football environment. At the same time, we also hope that Viana can join Inter Milan. Here you will find your true path in football. Moratti's speech was practically a prepared address, incredibly skillful. He knew that Duncan alone couldn't quell the anger of all Inter Milan fans. Their dissatisfaction with the team would still be directed at the team itself, so he brought up Trigura to fuel the fans' criticism. He also subtly criticized AC Milan and Juventus. Those who understand will understand, and those who don't will eventually. Finally, he recruited Maxija and Viana, making ample preparations for the team's Champions League aspirations next season. Even at this moment, Inter Milan still hadn't considered the possibility that they might not qualify for the Champions League next season. They didn't think they'd fall out of the top 4 in Serie A. After all, this was a championship contending squad. But in reality, they only finished 5th in Serie A this season, and will have to continue playing in the UEFA Cup next season. This wave of criticism is incredibly intense. European football is the center of world football. Serie A is the center of European football. Inter Milan is one of the centers of Serie A. Inter Milan's elimination from the UEFA Cup by Sporting Lisbon, conceding 7 goals over 2 legs, is absolutely huge news. In the future, it's probably equivalent to Manchester City, Liverpool, Real Madrid, or Bayern Munich being eliminated by Portuguese teams, an absolute upset. And if you say it's an upset in the semi-finals, people can accept it. Even the weakest teams should win if they reach the semi-finals. The key is this is the UEFA Cup round of 16. If Viana became a sensation after the first leg, then Deng Kai became a complete scumbag after the second leg, even more so than Viana. Almost everyone knows that the football world has produced a shameless scoundrel, Deng Kai. Many stars familiar with Deng Kai are worried about him. For example, Guardiola and Beckham. Especially the latter, who has experienced this kind of, or even more intense, public abuse, knows it can drive a player crazy. They even wanted to call Deng Kai. But they saw Deng Kai's post-match interview. Deng Kai, everyone can rest assured, I will absolutely not have any resentment towards the fans because of this match and the abuse Inter Milan fans have given me in the future. Fans are the foundation of football, and I absolutely respect them. And I also know that this is the only way that can stop me from winning, besides praying. In my opinion, it's no different from praying, it's useless except for making them accept a defeat. P.S., except for a cough, he's basically fine. Peach is slowly getting back into form, please bear with him. Chapter 314 Cruise Missile Launcher. Deng Kai, but I have something to say about the accusations against Inter Milan's players, coaching staff, and management. The fans don't understand, and they shouldn't be. If I profit within the rules without harming anyone, am I wrong? If so, then the rules should be changed, not me. They can complain to UEFA, not bother a small player like me. Instead of wasting that energy, they should have done more research on Sporting Lisbon before the match, instead of being arrogant and not even knowing the names of our players. Instead of wasting that energy, they should have run a kilometer or two more on the field, instead of looking for the most irrelevant reason when their running statistics are inferior to ours and they've been dominated in both matches in terms of possession and goals. Don't think that just because we beat Inter Milan, we're strong. This Inter Milan team has many problems, losing is normal. They're far less strong than everyone thinks. In the Italian Cup, their opponent is Parma, right? They're bound to lose, at least 3 goals over 2 legs. They'll be playing AC Milan in 2 weeks, right? I'm telling you, Inter Milan losing by 5 or 6 goals is normal in this form. I hope Inter Milan can recognize their own strength. You may have some of the best players in the world, but without a scientific team composition, you're terribly bad. I just made a mistake that every player makes. No, it can't be called a mistake. I just did what every player does. The problem isn't me. I'll say it one last time, we won not because I was shameless, nor because Sporting Lisbon was too strong, but simply because Inter Milan was too bad. Too bad. Deng Kai's interview spread throughout Europe. For almost half a day, major media outlets were silent. Because they didn't know how to evaluate it. Criticize Deng Kai? Many people were already criticizing him. Who did they think they were? And most importantly, Deng Kai expressed the true opinions of many knowledgeable football fans. Asking these editors to criticize Deng Kai was beyond their moral conscience. Half a day later, someone spoke out. That's Maggi, the general manager of Juventus, Inter Milan's Serie A rival. I admire Duncan. He's very brave, he's exposed Inter Milan's ugly facade. For a long time, Inter Milan used Ronaldo's injury as a cover for their shortcomings, or rather, for management's mistakes and the coaching staff's incompetence. Their squad is very unhealthy, yet they fool the fans, attempting to verbally compete with Juventus for the Serie A title. But do they deserve it? They don't. Every Juventus victory is clean. Inter Milan's losses are absolutely not due to anyone manipulating Serie A, nor does anyone have the ability to manipulate anything. I hope they improve their performance and stop thinking about those irrelevant things. Clearly, Maggi understood Moratti's veiled criticism of Juventus. Once Maggi fired the first shot, Serie A giants like AC Milan and Lazio followed suit. If Moratti wasn't taught a lesson now, he might really think the Holy Alliance was just empty talk, cough cough. Similarly, many players began to speak out in support of Duncan. They weren't targeting Inter Milan, they were simply stating the facts. Was Deng Kai's approach wrong? No. Inter Milan couldn't accept it because they lost. If they had won, they could have forgiven everything the other side did. Similarly, is Inter Milan very strong? Not extremely strong. At least not as strong as commonly perceived. In fact, one could say they have significant problems. Zidane expressed his opinion after this round of Serie A matches. Inter Milan doesn't have the strength to compete for the Serie A title this season, I'm telling you. This season's champion will belong to Juventus. Alessandro Del Piero, the Zebra Prince, said, "Our biggest rivals are AC Milan, Roma, Lazio, and Parma. Inter Milan is not in our consideration." Davids, the wild boar, said, "Inter Milan has many star strikers, but playing against them isn't difficult. I felt completely at ease." Zambrotta, Inter Milan's long-desired top left-back, said, "After consecutive exits from the Champions League and Europa League, Inter Milan is clearly facing some problems. Their coaching staff seems unprofessional. Moratti should focus more on finding a new head coach, or perhaps he should take over Inter Milan himself. He's been too nosy in building Inter Milan's squad. It's not a wise choice." Super Pippo Inzaghi said, "Leave professional matters to professionals. It's a bit much to blame a boy under 16 for Inter Milan's loss. I don't think Deng Kai's actions were wrong. Many people have delayed the game like that. He has a clear mind, he's a good midfielder." Juventus captain Conte, "Perhaps Deng Kai's behavior seems disgusting, but if it were me, I would have done the same. Doesn't anyone else care as much as I do about why Deng Kai was able to stall for 6 minutes? It's incredibly difficult. He's not tall, and his dribbling skills aren't top-notch, but it's just so hard for others to get the ball from him." Juventus stars joined the fray. Inter Milan's squad and coaching staff issues began to be discussed. Inter Milan fans were furious. Why has Inter Milan become a black hole for star players? Doesn't Juventus know? Did you send in the deeply Juventus-influenced Marcello Lippi, this silver fox, a mole, to coach Inter Milan, ruining a bunch of Inter's talented players, leading to Inter's current state? Now Lippi is back at Juventus, and Inter fans are absolutely livid. Moratti has suffered a huge setback in this matter. This is why Moratti would rather use a lousy coach than recklessly pursue a famous coach with an unreliable background. He was truly terrified of Juventus. Media reports and opinions shifted constantly, but one thing remained unchanged: the general public's impression of Deng Kai. After the overwhelming negativity, without a significant event, it was difficult for people to have a positive impression of Deng Kai. Moreover, even if Deng Kai did something to improve his image, unless he became a breakout star again, many fans' impressions would remain stuck at this point. Ling. You have obtained the Star-Drop Seedorf brand cruise missile launcher. Seedorf brand cruise missile launcher. There are many famous long-range shooters in football, and Seedorf is undoubtedly one of them. His cruise missile-style long-range shots have left a deep impression on the world of football. Your long-range shooting accuracy has been greatly increased. Your long-range shooting power has been greatly increased. Your long-range shots have a greater chance of preventing the ball from dropping before touching the net. In the 2 matches against Inter Milan, besides the insults from Inter Milan fans, Deng Kai also received drops from 2 Inter Milan stars. He was determined to befriend Pirlo and Seedorf. They were giving him valuable items. Pirlo's vision and Seedorf's long-range shots are their specialties. February 26, the 23rd round of the Portuguese League. Chapter 315. The next opponent in the UEFA Cup. Sporting Lisbon easily defeated their opponents 2-0. Duncan made his debut this round, scoring with a long-range shot. Deschamps provided an assist. Viana carried his good form from European competitions into the league, contributing a goal and an assist. This round of the Portuguese League garnered significantly more attention than usual, with media analysis revealing the extra traffic came from various European countries, primarily Italy. This is the boost European competition provides to a team. Soon, Sporting Lisbon's opponent in the UEFA Cup quarter-finals was revealed, the Bundesliga team that achieved the Kaiserslautern miracle a few years ago. This team once put immense pressure on Bayern Munich in the league. Their coach is one of the most legendary figures in football, Rahagel. The most noteworthy player on this team is the German youth player Miroslav Klose. He's described as a youth player rather than a young star because Klose isn't yet considered a superstar at this stage. He joined Kaiserslautern last year, gaining the opportunity to play in one of Europe's top 5 leagues. In his first Bundesliga season, he scored 9 goals for the team. This also helped the team reach the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup. This led most people to favor Kaiserslautern. They have the UEFA Cup DNA. Sporting Lisbon can only be considered a powerhouse in the Portuguese league. In the broader European club scene, they're just a minor, less well-known club. In terms of brand value, they're not even as good as Kaiserslautern, who recently achieved the second-best result in the Bundesliga. Klose played as a winger last season, but this season, after switching to center forward, his attacking abilities have been further developed. Based on his current performance, he has a very high probability of winning the Bundesliga's top domestic scorer award this season, and can also compete for the Bundesliga's Best Young Player award. To encourage Klose, Rahagel has repeatedly stated this season that Klose is qualified for the German national team. Unfortunately, these words haven't been heeded. But if Klose continues his current performance, even if he doesn't make the German team this year, he can next year. Another key player for Kaiserslautern is Djorkaeff. He's a second-generation star. His father, Jean Djorkaeff, was a French national team defender in his early years, and he followed in his father's footsteps, becoming a national team player as well. Before Zidane's meteoric rise, he was the undisputed core of the French team's attack. Zidane's arrival seemed to magically transform the French team. In the 1998 World Cup and the 2000 European Championship, Djorkaeff reached the pinnacle of world football with the French team. At the club level, Djorkaeff's time at Inter Milan was equally brilliant. He was the only superstar in Inter Milan's history whose form didn't decline significantly after the club adopted its star-studded tactics. He also astutely chose to leave Inter Milan when Marcello Lippi arrived. He was one of the first to voice his dissent against Lippi, a Juventus-affiliated coach, managing Inter Milan. And the results proved Djorkaeff's foresight. After joining Kaiserslautern, Djorkaeff continued to shine, becoming the undisputed core of the team's attack. Rahagel, Djorkaeff, Klose. Legendary coach, superstar player, future superstar. Kaiserslautern has virtually no weaknesses. While Sporting Lisbon defeated Inter Milan. After the heated debate, everyone believed Inter Milan's collapse stemmed from internal issues. They lost to themselves, and Sporting Lisbon had little to do with it. Anyone facing such an Inter Milan would find it difficult to lose. This was further confirmed in the Italian Cup. Inter Milan encountered league powerhouse Parma and lost 1-6 on aggregate. The media began digging up Deng Kai's previous interview statement. Inter Milan will definitely lose the match against Parma, losing by at least 3 goals over 2 legs. Now it seems Deng Kai was too conservative. Inter Milan lost by 5. The worse Inter Milan fared, the less people thought Sporting Lisbon was a threat. So much so that even with 2 weeks to go before the first leg of the UEFA Cup quarter-final, betting companies were already offering substantial odds. Kaiserslautern's probability of not losing the first leg was as high as 86%. Sporting Lisbon's winning probability was only 14%. Bundesliga vs Portuguese Premier Liga. Rahagel vs Trigera, an unknown team. Djorkaeff, in his prime, vs Matos, old and struggling. Klose vs Viana, Quaresma. Aside from the young talents who are always evenly matched, Kaiserslautern has a clear advantage. On March 1, the Portuguese Cup quarterfinals kicked off. From this round onwards, it's almost entirely a competition between Portuguese league teams, with only one Ligue 1 team advancing to the quarterfinals. Sporting Lisbon's opponent is their second team, Moreirense. The two sides met last season, with Moreirense, led by Duncan and Ronaldo, defeating Sporting Lisbon. To be precise, they defeated 3 of the Portuguese league's giants. Their Portuguese Cup victory last season is the most legendary in the history of the Portuguese Cup. The match is held at the Alvadalá Stadium, and Sporting Lisbon will share half of the tickets with Moreirense. This match is very profitable for Moreirense. After more than 20 rounds of Portuguese league matches, Moreirense has almost certainly secured a relegation spot. Without a great coach like Trigera and without talented stars like Duncan, Ronaldo, and Gillip, Moreirense simply can't reach the level of the Portuguese league. Their signings have proven mediocre, and the players they bought to replace Ronaldo and Duncan haven't met the standards of top-tier Portuguese stars. The most noteworthy players in the team so far are centre-forward Anderson and right-back Alex. They've continued to perform well this season. Anderson has already scored 10 goals in the Portuguese league, a respectable achievement for a newcomer. Alex, with his attacking attributes, has become a distinctive fullback. Many mid-table teams in the Portuguese league are interested in Anderson, but many top teams in the top 5 European leagues are interested in Alex. Strong teams have a high demand for attacking fullbacks. In the players' tunnel, Duncan greeted Anderson, Alex, and other teammates from last season. The two sides had already faced each other in the league, so the atmosphere was relatively harmonious. After the players entered the field, Sporting Lisbon fans applauded Moreirense. With the sound of the whistle, the match officially began. Because of Trigera, Sporting Lisbon were extremely familiar with Moreirense's tactical system. Within just 5 minutes, Sporting Lisbon had firmly grasped control of the ball. Moreirense, who had maintained a strong team style of play for half the season last year, had completely regressed to a weak team style this season. Chapter 316 France Football Journey. However, Sporting Lisbon's starting striker today is Ibrahimovic, who doesn't have Drogba's relentless, tireless attacking style, so Sporting Lisbon couldn't find a breakthrough for the time being. In the 19th minute, Sporting Lisbon faced a wave of pressing from Moreirense. For the past 19 minutes, Moreirense's possession had been less than 20%, which was incredibly embarrassing, and their players had to press for pride. But this pressure gave Deng Kai an opportunity. Deng Kai received a back pass in the defensive midfield position, where Deschamps had moved to the right, acting as a temporary right wing back. Bang! Deng Kai received the ball and immediately launched a long pass to initiate a counter-attack. He was very familiar with Moreirense's pressing rhythm. His pass seemed risky, but it was almost impossible for Moreirense's players to intercept it. In the middle, Ibrahimovic used his hands to trap the defender behind him. His physique was clearly a level above Moreirense's centre-backs. If Jalop were there, he might be able to contain Ibrahimovic, but Moreirense currently lacks high-level centre-backs. Bang! Ibrahimovic headed the ball down. Viana swept past, dribbling towards Moreirense's penalty area. Another Moreirense centre-back rushed to cover. Bang! Viana seized the opportunity, sending a through ball into the empty penalty area. Ronaldo had already shaken off his left back, cutting inside without the ball and unleashing a powerful shot, easily scoring. Sergio Gomes, one of Ronaldo's friends at Moreirense and a young goalkeeper who has gained considerable playing time this year, looked speechless. He tried his best to save, but it was all after the goal had already been scored. He was too slow. His saves were far below the level of a Portuguese league starter. After Moreirense's promotion miracle, some players shone brightly, such as Deng Kai and Ronaldo. Some players withstood the test of higher-level competition and are becoming players of the top 5 leagues, such as Jalop and even Anderson and Alex within the team. But some players, under the spotlight, failed miserably, failing to deliver any interesting performances. Gomes is one of them. He's too young, and getting the opportunity before he's fully capable isn't always a good thing. If he had gotten this opportunity 3 years later, he might have become the starting goalkeeper for a Portuguese league team. But now, he's using his performance to accelerate his return to the Portuguese second division. However, having this experience, he'll be more sought after in the second division. Being older and developing further might give him the chance to mature later, return to the Portuguese league, or even move to one of the top 5 leagues. This is what we previously referred to as a player with a slow growth curve. In the goalkeeper position, the curve is especially slow. A 21-year-old Gomes, placed in a midfield or forward position, is roughly equivalent to a 15 or 16-year-old player. Is it possible for him to achieve results? Ronaldo? Deng Kai? But Moreirense has also improved compared to last year. After conceding a goal, they didn't collapse. Instead, they were inspired and started actively challenging Sporting Lisbon, instead of only challenging when there was no other way, as before. In the 25th minute, Alex outpaced Terry on the wing. Terry wasn't slow, but he was still a centre-back. Alex's speed was barely top tier in the Portuguese league. If Terry wasn't given a chance to make contact, he would be at a disadvantage. Unfortunately, the rest of the team wasn't in position, and Alex's cross was like Halley's Comet, coming and going without leaving a trace. In the 33rd minute, Alex added some feints this time, then suddenly accelerated. Terry, trying to chase him, slipped and fell. Alex's feint caused Terry to fall, eliciting gasps from the Sporting Lisbon fans. Bang! Alex crossed again. This time, Anderson didn't miss the opportunity, engaging in a fierce battle for position with Font in the penalty area. Ultimately, Anderson, knowing Font well, outjumped him to head the ball into the net. Goal. Moreirense played aggressively. They put on a very high level of performance. This goal came from a link-up between Alex and Anderson, both players currently attracting a lot of attention. Benfica and Porto are interested in them, and scouts from Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga, Monaco in Ligue 1, and Lyon are also following them. They are indeed two excellent players. Last season, Moreirense won the Portuguese league title, and besides the contributions of Duncan and Ronaldo, Anderson and Alex played crucial roles. Font needs to reflect. He was overshadowed by his former rivals, which is really unfair. After all, his environment is definitely better than Anderson's. Font was utterly exasperated. He had to admit that playing with such talented players was exhausting. He had been training extra with Duncan and Ronaldo, but his progress was nowhere near theirs. Even compared to players like Anderson, Alex, Gillip, and within the team such as Barzagli, Terry, and Pepe, Font's progress was truly slow. Sporting Lisbon's youth academy director even suspected Font of not putting in the effort and not training seriously. The problem of his slow progress continued to plague Font. But finally, Maxier gave Font a perfect example. Maxier said, "Talent has different levels, and you're a talented player. But you can feel it yourself, your progress is relatively slow. Compared to those geniuses, you'll be eliminated sooner or later. But when God closes a door, he always opens a window. Your friendship with Deng Kai will be key to your position in the team for the next few years." Do you understand what I mean? Font understood perfectly. He consistently adhered to the principle of playing with Deng Kai at the center, steadfastly pursuing a sustainable development path, and demanding high standards of himself with 4 obediences and 8 services. He became Deng Kai's #1 supporter within the team. No, second only. The #1 supporter was Maxier. So, after the goal was conceded, when Deng Kai returned to the backfield to address his teammates, Font nodded repeatedly, his attitude of admitting his mistake extremely sincere. "Yes, it was my fault. I'm sorry everyone. I will definitely try my best to make up for it later. Don't worry, Kai, I will never let you down again." Since Font was so self-critical, the others in the defense didn't know what to say. Even Schmeichel would sometimes reflect on himself when he was calm, wondering if his reaction to Font after conceding the goal was too much. He shouldn't have scolded him. This kid may lack talent, but his attitude is really good. As the older brother, he must be more tolerant and mentor this obedient kid. Little did he know, Font's self-reflection mainly stemmed from the feelings of Deng Kai, Schmeichel, and the others. It was merely an added bonus. Chapter 317, A first test of cruise missiles. In the 37th minute, less than 3 minutes after Moreirense's goal, Deng Kai astutely noticed Moreirense's old problem resurface. They seemed to lose their rhythm after scoring. The players collapsed, forcing Anderson to drop back into midfield to support his teammates. Bang! Deng Kai suddenly presses. He usually plays a wide area, mostly as a defensive midfielder, but this time, he pressed decisively, intercepting Moreirense's pass to Anderson from midfield in the attacking midfield position. Danger! Deng Kai plays a 1-2, Viana's combination is excellent. Deng Kai carries the ball to the edge of Moreirense's penalty area, looking for an opportunity. Ronaldo and Quaresma are both cutting inside without the ball. Ibrahimovic is also calling for the ball. Moreirense's defense is under immense pressure, they're tightly packed. Bang! Deng Kai suddenly unleashed a powerful shot from the edge of the penalty area. This shot, without much preparation, was simply a normal run with the ball, and then he suddenly shot. Long-range shots are common, but Deng Kai's was extraordinary in both form and effect. It was a Seedorf brand cruise missile launcher. Clang! Swish! The ball traveled at high speed, almost without spin in midair. It rose steadily from low to high. But because of the immense power and excellent pressure, the ball's ascent was remarkably slow, so much so that even as it flew from outside the penalty area to near the goal, it didn't clear the crossbar. Ultimately, the ball struck the underside of the crossbar and bounced into the net. Gomez made a high-standard save, but it was a divine, world-class goal, and he once again became the backdrop. Goal. Duncan. That was almost a long-range shot. Such power. The ball wasn't flying particularly fast, but because it had almost no spin, the trajectory was hard to predict. Duncan's long-range shooting skills are getting stronger and stronger. He always manages to unleash these magical world-class goals. That shot was perfectly controlled. Any goalkeeper would be helpless against a goal like that. 2-1. Sporting Lisbon scored within 3 minutes of conceding. Duncan knows Moreirense too well. Since last season, the first 10 minutes after a goal have been Moreirense's dangerous period. They've conceded many goals during this time, which indicates a problem. This weakness was only overcome by Moreirense in the final sprint of last season, thanks to Tragura and Duncan's many efforts. Now that they're gone, Moreirense's old problem has resurfaced. 43rd minute. Quaresma easily made a run down the right flank. However, Tragura wasn't entirely satisfied with his choice. Quaresma dropped back. In the first half of the season, Quaresma faced a team of Moreirense's caliber. What was his strategy? Just cut inside and shoot. And every cut was successful. But since the second half of the season, with his fluctuating form and a minor injury, he's now avoiding more difficult options. His playing style has become more rational. But rationality also means compromise and mediocrity. Because true geniuses are irrational. Bang! Quaresma delivers a cross. Ibrahimovic, towering over the crowd, heads the ball. But the ball hits Gomez. You wouldn't say Gomez made a great save, but his positioning was indeed good. Corner kick. Deng Kai holds up 4 fingers and then takes the corner. The ball accurately finds Ibrahimovic in the middle. Don't be fooled by Ibrahimovic's header creating a corner. In corner kicks and free kicks, it's rare to repeatedly target the same spot. Deng Kai, however, chose to do the opposite, insisting on finding Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic leaped again, and this time he didn't disappoint Duncan's assist, scoring with a header. Goal. Ibrahimovic scores, 3-1. Sporting Lisbon is firing on all cylinders. They've found their comfortable style of play. After a fierce initial resistance, Moreirense gradually started to falter. The turning point might just be the goal. Ibrahimovic rushes towards Duncan, they're celebrating. Ibrahimovic almost always comes off the bench in the league, only starting in the Portuguese Cup, which is his home game. His performance in the Portuguese Cup might earn him more playing time in the league and European competitions, so he cherishes it. Ibrahimovic has scored in his last 3 Portuguese Cup matches. His efficiency against weaker teams seems very consistent. In comparison, Drogba's team contribution might be greater than Ibrahimovic's, but in terms of goals, Drogba has always lacked a certain flair, not efficient enough, and not aesthetically pleasing. The match then entered halftime. It was clear that Moreirense's coach had made some efforts in halftime. After halftime, Moreirense's players were playing quite aggressively, probably after being scolded. Actually, there was no need for that. They are a relegation-threatened team. Their goal has never been to take points from Sporting Lisbon, a team that's consistently ranked first or second this season. Perhaps the coach was just trying to save face and wanted to show off in front of his predecessor, Terry. The first half ended 3-1, and that's when he panicked. In the 51st minute, Alex tried to outmaneuver Terry again on the wing. While Terry isn't yet a top-tier or first-class centre-back, his talent is undeniable. Someone who can develop into the Premier League's best centre-back wouldn't be completely outplayed in a single match. This time, Terry tackled Alex before he could accelerate, completing a precise tackle. Crucially, after legally bringing down Alex, Terry immediately got up and controlled the ball. Terry passed to the returning Ronaldo. Ronaldo accelerated down the wing, launching a counter-attack. Encountering resistance, Ronaldo didn't try to force his way through. Having sensed the opponent's strength over the past few moments, he chose to pass back. Viana received the ball, looked up, and saw an opportunity. Bang! Viana chipped a pass to the far post. Quaresma cut inside without the ball. However, Quaresma's run was a bit strained, and Viana's pass lacked power. To an average person, the run was good, and the pass was good. But to top master, the run could have been better, and the pass was a little off. This led to bang! Quaresma made a diving tackle, his only way to reach the ball. But at the same time, Moreirense's centre-back also lunged to intercept. The two met in mid-air. Moreirense's centre-back, with his height and long legs, touched the ball first, clearing it. Both fell from the air, crashing into each other, both looking pained. But the difference was that, after the referee didn't show any intention of issuing a card, Moreirense's centre-back got up, while Quaresma was still on the grass clutching his abdomen and thigh. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318 Flowers bloom within the wall and fragrance blooms within the wall. Sporting Lisbon's team doctor rushed onto the field. After examining Quaresma, he helped him to the sidelines for further examination. Seeing this, Trigura immediately told Drogba and Calameo to warm up. Then, Trigura substituted Drogba for Quaresma. He then comforted Quaresma, saying things like, "We still need you in the league and European competitions. It would be a huge loss if you got injured in a match like the Portuguese Cup." Quaresma accepted the arrangement, saying he would follow instructions. But even without this incident, Trigueros might have substituted Quaresma anyway. With Methalis injured and Pepe becoming a starter, a substitution was freed up. Trigueros used this substitution more often on Quaresma. Some might think this substitution caused Quaresma's fluctuating form. But actually, it was because Quaresma was in poor form that he was repeatedly substituted mid-match. Therefore, in this matter, fans can certainly use their own conclusions to find supporting explanations and refine their speculations. The two conclusions might be diametrically opposed, but the example used is the same. This is why many football commentaries, while seemingly reasonable, are contradictory. The truth has become difficult to ascertain with the passage of time. Unless you witness the entire process firsthand, you can't know the real answer. This is precisely the value of veteran fans. Veteran fans never need to tell new fans how brilliant the older generation of stars were. Unless the new fans experienced it themselves, they will never understand. New fans also never need to question the strength of the older generation of stars, because you and I haven't experienced it, so we will never understand. Only fans who have the patience to watch all of the team's matches, as well as most of the strong teams of that era, are qualified to evaluate that history and those stars. Therefore, the veracity of all historical accounts is, in fact, impossible to verify. Deng Kai has moved to the right winger position, with Viana playing as a lone attacking midfielder. Sporting Lisbon's formation now resembles a 3-2-3-2. Drogba and Ibrahimovic have formed a double-strike partnership, a rare combination of two tall forwards. Both possess strong hold-up play. Ibrahimovic has better footwork, superior passing and shooting, and more imagination. Drogba covers a wider area and is faster, especially in sprints, making him incredibly impactful. Ronaldo and Deng Kai have become left and right wingers, but their roles are completely different. Ronaldo, in both positioning and style, still employs a new type of winger play, cutting inside with his weaker foot, posing a significant threat. Deng Kai focuses more on organization and passing, while also possessing a good cross from the byline. He can fully unleash the threat of the double attacking midfield. Viana, playing as a lone attacking midfielder, needs to shoulder more playmaking duties than usual, which will be a test of his abilities. In fact, Viana struggled somewhat in this position last season. He truly rediscovered his youth academy form this season. With the arrival of Deng Kai, his running and playmaking have given Viana ample room to perform. Italian fans generally consider Deng Kai a stat patter, but considering the team's performance, player statistics, and overall performance over the past 2 seasons, Deng Kai seems to be the key factor in Viana's resurgence. This also presents Inter Milan with a dilemma. If they insist on taking Viana after this season, will they consider bringing Deng Kai along? If they don't take Deng Kai, they might not get the real instruction manual for Viana. It's clear that the Portuguese commentators have a clearer understanding of the local league. It's a case of the grass is always greener on the other side. Portuguese fans generally know that the absolute core of Sporting Lisbon's midfield is Deng Kai, not Viana. But it's difficult to explain this to fans of other leagues. If you say Deng Kai is a guaranteed starter, they'll say it's because Deng Kai is Trigueros' protege and has a special relationship. Trigueros and Wenger are currently recognized as the two most skilled coaches in Europe at developing young players. Arsene Wenger led Arsenal and Manchester United in the Premier League for years, achieving great success. However, Miguel Trigueros lacks significant accolades, remaining primarily a youth coach. Many say Trigueros is riding on Wenger's coattails, and from most people's perspective, that seems true. But insiders know that Trigueros' abilities in this area are absolutely no less than Wenger's. Trigueros needs a signature performance. Simeo, Quaresma, and Viana are, after all, his youth academy students. Cristiano Ronaldo and Deng Kai were his first direct protégés after entering the coaching profession. Trigueros' professional standing depends on Deng Kai and Ronaldo. Ronaldo, being exceptionally talented, doesn't necessarily demonstrate technical skill when coached. Only by developing Deng Kai can he truly shine. With this understanding, Deng Kai's starting position seems entirely based on connections, unrelated to actual ability. Statistics and team performance comparisons are even less acceptable to outside fans. In the 60th minute, Deng Kai, while dribbling at high speed on the right wing, made a sharp turn, bracing himself with one hand on the ground, seemingly falling but remaining upright. A manual turn. Quaresma frequently uses this move because of his excellent explosiveness and dribbling ability. Deng Kai struggles to perform this move in other positions, mainly due to his slightly weaker dribbling control. However, he can do it on the right wing. On the right, with Robin socks, his dribbling ability is significantly enhanced. This is why he doesn't refuse to move to the right. Otherwise, he would have to move Ronaldo to the right, let Viana play on the left, and continue playing as an attacking midfielder. But that would inevitably weaken the team's strength. Viana is also excellent on the left. The problem would lie with Ronaldo. Having a right-footed player with 0 assists this season on the right is a disaster. Do you expect him to deliver high-quality passes from the byline? As for cutting inside, even if Ronaldo can cut in, how will he shoot? His left foot and outside of his foot are clearly not yet developed. Bang! Deng Kai manually rounded the bend and continued down the byline, delivering a cross that, almost like a magic lock, precisely found Drogba. However, Drogba's view was blocked by his teammate Ibrahimovic, and he didn't jump decisively, causing the ball to graze his head and go out of bounds, missing a scoring opportunity. Drogba and Ibrahimovic immediately gave a thumbs up, indicating that Keisha's pass was good. It's always good to be polite. Otherwise, what if Keisha gets angry? Although Keisha isn't as obsessed with assists as Ronaldo, and doesn't mind others wasting his brilliant passes, we can't be ungrateful just because he has a good temper. If Keisha gets angry with you, your days on this team will be difficult. Understand? In the 66th minute, Ronaldo made a dummy run on the left wing, attracting the defenders, and Viana passed a ball to Deng Kai on the right wing. It was a routine pass. But before the ball rolled over, Deng Kai took 2 steps back, assuming a crossing posture. Moreirense's left-back Seraphim knew about Deng Kai's cross and quickly created space. Bang! Deng Kai faked a pass and then broke through, dribbling down the wing. Seraphim immediately followed, desperately chasing after Deng Kai. Bang! Deng Kai flicked the ball in advance and cut inside, perfectly missing Seraphim. Chapter 319 The Ambition of the Triple Crown Winner. It looked as if Seraphim had deliberately given up his position to Deng Kai. Oh! Seraphim was completely fooled by Deng Kai's series of feints. His defense was more like a welcome to Deng Kai, the former team's core player. They're not even in the same league. Deng Kai has become increasingly composed since the second half of the season. Perhaps some feel his presence isn't as strong as before, but actually, as the midfield commander, perfectly orchestrating and utilizing all his teammates is the most important thing. Viana now is like the Deng Kai of the past. And now Deng Kai, I have to say, is very much like those midfield maestros who fight on top-level stages. He has a bit of Redondo, Guardiola, and even Zidane's shadow. Ibrahimovic sprints. He's asking for the ball. Deng Kai doesn't pass it. Ibrahimovic ran into an offside position. He's coming back. He chooses to come back from the right. Ronaldo cuts inside without the ball, asking for the ball at the edge of the penalty area. Viana, at the edge of the penalty area, could also wait for Deng Kai's cutback pass. Drogba held off Moreirense's center-back. Duncan passed the ball. Drogba played a 1-2. Duncan surged into the penalty area from the right wing. Gomez had no choice but to rush out. Bang! Duncan flicked the ball with the outside of his foot, the arc so high it escaped Gomez's control, and he scored into the far corner. 4-1. Deng Kai has practically sealed the victory for Sporting Lisbon. Deng Kai was incredibly active today. He was practically unstoppable, long-range shots, dribbling, crosses, brilliant passes, penetrating the penalty area, he did it all. Of the 4 goals, Deng Kai contributed 2 assists and 2 goals. He completely dominated the game. This is the control a former midfield maestro has over his team. Deng Kai's performance against Moreirense perfectly demonstrates his understanding of this team. His performance is absolutely no less impressive than Viana's. Unfortunately, against Inter Milan, Deng Kai mostly played a supporting role. Otherwise, Inter Milan wouldn't have prepared €13 million, but €26 million, they would have offered for Deng Kai as well. Because Deng Kai and Viana are exactly the midfielders Inter Milan needs. Watching the Portuguese Cup commentator speak eloquently, Moretti, far away in Milan, Italy, let out a disdainful snort. Did the Portuguese really think he, Moretti, didn't understand football? Between Viana and Deng Kai, which midfielder was stronger? Did this football expert Moretti not understand? A player's ability sometimes depends on the match environment. The environment differs between leagues. In Moretti's view, Duncan was the next Pirlo. He was shorter and younger than Pirlo, their passing was similar, and their physical strength and dribbling abilities were almost identical. Pirlo's free kick technique was better, but Duncan had more lucky long-range goals. However, everyone saw Pirlo's performance at Inter Milan. Moratti was quite disappointed with Pirlo. Pirlo performed excellently at his previous clubs, but he couldn't handle the attacking midfield role at Inter Milan. He faced too much pressing, situations he couldn't handle, and his body couldn't provide enough support. Traditional attacking midfielders may seem slow, but this slowness is predicated on their ability to withstand various extreme impacts and physical challenges. Pirlo couldn't withstand these. So there was no point in talking about organizing and orchestrating plays. This is why Moratti never considered signing Duncan. He had tried players like Duncan before, and they were mediocre. Pirlo? Duncan? However, Viana is different. He possesses strong wing attributes. Even if Viana doesn't ultimately become Inter Milan's midfield commander, he can be transformed into a winger or even a wing-back. So, can you say Moratti doesn't understand football? Doesn't understand player acquisition? Moratti understands everything. He transcends the most basic data-driven player assessment and enters into deeper thinking. Moratti's logic is actually correct, but he doesn't realize that genius cannot be evaluated by logic. Because true geniuses are irrational. If Ronaldo hadn't suffered so many injuries at Inter Milan and had instead brought the Nerazzurri 2 Champions League titles, Moratti might have understood. In the 70th minute, Trigura made a bold move, replacing the exhausted Dutch champs with Paulo Bento. At the same time, he replaced Ronaldo with substitute winger Quaime Ayew. This was a protective substitution. With a Portuguese Cup victory in hand, Trigura needed to prepare for the league. They are currently second in the league, but only 1 point behind Porto. A slip-up could see them reclaim the top spot, so caution is essential. This was Sporting Lisbon's closest chance to win the league title in the past 5 years. In the 82nd minute, Quaime Ayew's unsuccessful breakthrough on the left wing resulted in a pass to Viana. Viana then passed to Duncan. Duncan feinted on the right wing, leaving Serafin completely bewildered, unable to anticipate Duncan's move. Duncan executed a manual turn. A powerful cut inside, the movement like a figure skater. Moreirense's centre-back, knowing his teammate couldn't defend Duncan, was prepared and immediately covered. Duncan, however, suddenly shifted to the side, making a run down the flank near the penalty area, avoiding his opponent. Bang! During his run down the flank, Duncan tapped the ball with his right foot, then rolled forward. This kind of pass that makes you roll forward is a diagonal back pass. This is a cutback pass. Bang! Viana, on the edge of the penalty area, capitalized on the double pull from Drogba and Ibrahimovic, unleashing a powerful shot into the empty net. Gomez looked towards the net in despair for the 5th time in the entire match. 5-1. Viana's form continues to soar. Inter Milan's offer for him will have to increase by another $1 million. Deng Kai completed an assist hat-trick today, his first breakout performance of the second half of the season. He was different in this game. He seemed to have found a balance between being a commander and a shining star. Hopefully, he can maintain this hot streak in the upcoming games. 89th minute. Ibrahimovic moved to the right wing, and Deng Kai nimbly ran into the penalty area. Ibrahimovic, with his dazzling footwork, tried to pass the ball to Deng Kai. However, a Moreirense player fouled him, sending the ball out of bounds. The referee awarded a throw-in, but no foul. The game was almost over, and he hoped to get through the final minutes quickly and peacefully so everyone could start the second half sooner. Why not? Ibrahimovic held the ball for 5 seconds, then threw it to the on-rushing Barzagli for a hand throw. At this moment, Deng Kai returned. Ibrahimovic was running towards the penalty area. Barzagli took a throw-in, and Deng Kai, without controlling the ball, executed a spectacular lobbed pass over a defender. Moreirense's defenders were completely unprepared for Deng Kai's display of skill. Bang! The ball bounced after landing, and Deng Kai unleashed a powerful long pass to the near post. Drogba leaped amidst the crowd and headed the ball across. Ibrahimovic, who had just entered the penalty area and was already on the move at high speed, was no slouch. Bang! Ibrahimovic charged forward and headed the ball into the goal. The ball pierced the net. 6-1. Ibrahimovic scored his second header. Drogba, coming off the bench, provided an assist and scored his second goal, both strikers reaping rewards. Moreirense, the defending Portuguese Cup champions, were eliminated in the quarter-finals this year. This result is not bad for a team in the relegation zone. At least they received some financial compensation. Even if they unfortunately relegated to the Portuguese second division this season, they still have a chance to quickly return to the Portuguese first division. Meanwhile, Sporting Lisbon, carrying their legacy, entered the semi-finals, continuing their campaign across 3 competitions. For a time, Portuguese media discovered that Sporting Lisbon was the only team in the Portuguese league this season with a real chance of winning the treble. The treble is in quotes because the traditional treble refers to winning the Champions League, the league title, and the highest domestic cup competition. Sporting Lisbon is currently in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Cup, a second-tier European Cup competition, below the Champions League. But this is still more than enough for the Portuguese league. Never before in the history of the Portuguese league has a true treble achieved. Is Sporting Lisbon finally reaping the rewards this year? Chapter 320 Deng Kai understands football. March 5, Portuguese Primeira Liga round 24. Quaresma finally broke his goal drought, scoring a goal for his team. Cristiano Ronaldo was in excellent form, scoring twice and being named man of the match. Duncan scored and assisted, receiving the same rating as Ronaldo. Viana and Pepe both provided assists. Sporting Lisbon won 4-1. However, Schmeichel was not happy because Pepe and Fonse's mistake in the final moments allowed the opponent to easily score, robbing Schmeichel of his clean sheet bonus. March 12, Portuguese Primeira Liga round 25. Viana scored and assisted, and was named man of the match. Ronaldo scored in consecutive matches, quietly maintaining his second place in the Primeira Liga top scorer list, neither overtaken by Nuno Gomes nor surpassed by the Primeira Liga top scorer, Jardel. Drogba finally scored, maintaining a form of scoring 1 goal every 4 or 5 matches. Other center forwards would be worried because their efficiency seems poor. But Drogba is different. Trigura is very satisfied with Drogba's performance, and Drogba, after his initial obsession with scoring, has entered a more mature state. Even if he doesn't score a single goal afterward, as long as he helps the team and the team wins, he knows his starting position is secure. Even the talented Swedish prodigy Ibrahimovic was relegated to the bench by little Drogba. Haha. Pepe and Duncan also provided assists in this match. Pepe's assist was particularly surprising, his through ball from midfield completely pierced the opponent's defense. That was truly impressive. Sporting Lisbon continues to closely follow Porto in the standings, putting immense pressure on the latter. After experiencing the baptism of Inter Milan, Sporting Lisbon's players have undergone an invisible growth. They don't feel they've changed much, but this wave of big wins tells them that everything is different. They can't go back. In this wave of performances, Duncan, Ronaldo, and Viana all gave commendable performances. Drogba, Pepe, and Ibrahimovic also each had their highlights. Quaresma's form remains inconsistent. Matthäus has recovered from his injury and has returned to the team for acclimatization training. But amidst this stellar lineup, Viana's popularity has suddenly surged again. The reason is, the recently concluded Milan derby, where AC Milan thrashed Inter Milan 6-0, shocking the world. This is Inter Milan. A 6-0 scoreline, how many years has it been? This is arguably Inter Milan's most humiliating moment in decades. Parma, at least, managed a 6-1 victory over Inter over 2 legs. AC Milan, their even more formidable rival, achieved this in a single match, and did it on a much more extreme scale. Albertini, known as Italy's darling, said after the match, "It's crazy, it seems crazy to outsiders. But what I want to say is actually the same thing that Deng Kai said half a month ago, which is that people overestimate this Inter Milan team." Deng Kai understands football. It's not that we are too strong, it's that they are too bad. Redondo, the superstar who joined AC Milan from Real Madrid and was considered one of the 4 great defensive midfielders of the 1990s along with Albertini, also said, "Inter Milan's midfield has a big problem. We can do whatever we want on the field." AC Milan's young player Gattuso, who was recently acquired, has had an inconsistent season, but he performed well in this derby. Inter Milan's midfield is simply a pile of dog shit. Their midfielders are really trash. Seedorf is okay, but Pirlo is really bad, soft and slow. I can completely imagine the pain of playing alongside him, but he is not even the worst player in Inter Milan's midfield, so you can imagine how overestimated they are. Ukrainian nuclear warhead Shevchenko, I'm happy to beat Inter Milan, but you can see they weren't in good form. They've been slumped since being eliminated by Sporting Lisbon. German superstar Bierhoff, Inter Milan's defense lacks height. Even Sporting Lisbon's young players Drogba and Ibrahimovic could dominate there, let alone a top striker like me. AC Milan's stars showed no mercy on or off the field. Inter Milan fans, on the other hand, didn't even have the courage to argue with their opponents. Their team had been so awful this time. So they once again strongly urged the team to buy Viana and overhaul the midfield. Viana's popularity soared again. Reportedly, Inter Milan fans generally agreed to acquire Viana for €20 million. Seedorf was acquired for €22 million. Viana is no worse than Seedorf, although his original platform was much lower, but the key is that Inter Milan had already tested him. He's effective. As a result, Viana's market value on Transfermarkt continued to soar, reaching €20 million, even surpassing Quaresma. Quaresma's peak market value was also over €20 million, but with this recent fluctuation in form, his value has slightly decreased to €18 million. Cristiano Ronaldo and Duncan currently have no market value because they are still far from transferring and no team has made an offer for them, so their market values are still blank. Their values will be updated as teams make offers in the future. Ronaldo, barring any unforeseen circumstances, will likely have a market value close to €20 million when he leaves Sporting Lisbon. Duncan's situation is less certain. He has too many disadvantages. Although he has grown taller this season, reaching approximately 1.7 meters, the season's records show his initial height is 1.65 meters, which is a significant disadvantage. Being of Asian descent, particularly of Chinese descent, has historically prevented the emergence of top-tier players. His lineage is not considered advantageous. Furthermore, the Asian and Chinese markets are not yet fully developed, limiting the player's commercial value. Citizenship in England, France, Spain, and Germany is the most valuable, followed by other European countries, then South America, and finally Asia. Finally, Deng Kai has fallen out with three football giants, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Inter Milan. This has severely impacted his market value. It's not that he will definitely join these three teams, but without their influence, his transfer fee will be several million less. March 15th. Kaiserslautern's entire team landed in Lisbon. The UEFA Cup quarterfinals are about to begin. Rahagel, in an interview, stated, "Trigura is a recognized youth academy master in the industry. He is very good at developing young players, and Sporting Lisbon's current performance is inseparable from his coaching. Furthermore, I think many people underestimate Trigura's tactical coaching abilities as a head coach. His close collaboration with a tactical master like Maxic only shows that Trigura is at least on the same level as Maxic." Chapter 321 Inter Milan fans get their wish. Rahagel, "We've done a lot of research on Sporting Lisbon, and we have a complete plan to limit Viana. That's the biggest reason we're confident of taking a victory from Lisbon." Djorkaeff said in an interview, "Recently, the media has been asking me about Viana and Quaresma every day. To be honest, I don't know how good they really are, but I know how good Klose is. Klose should be the one everyone is focusing on." While pleased by the praise from his senior teammates, Klose remained humble. "I'm older than many of the players on the Sporting Lisbon team, and that's my only advantage against them. Many of them are more talented than me, but talent isn't everything. I hope to bring glory to the team with goals. Even if my individual performance isn't as good as any of the opposing players, I can accept that." Overall, Kaiserslautern's attitude wasn't arrogant. Everyone knows the result of the last arrogant Inter Milan. Kaiserslautern doesn't think Inter Milan is really that bad. Even if Inter Milan is bad, it was because they were outplayed by Sporting Lisbon. Before facing Sporting Lisbon, who thought Inter Milan was a weak team? Absolutely not. The Sporting Lisbon players were very self-aware and didn't readily agree to interviews. Only Deng Kai, representing the entire team, responded to the reporters' questions. "Kaiserslautern is a legendary team. They created a famous miracle in football history, and we have absolute respect for such a team. Rahagel is one of the most legendary coaches. His coaching ability and tactical level are beyond doubt, absolutely no less than Mr. Trigler and Mr. Maxa. Djorkaeff is Quaresma's idol. Quaresma's playing style shows traces of Djorkaeff, only Quaresma has his own unique characteristics and some minor technical aspects. Klose is a very pragmatic center-forward. Germany's decision not to call him up this year can't be called a mistake, but it's certainly a huge regret. His balance with both feet, his combination of speed and technique, his control of passing and shooting, all tell people how excellent he is. By the way, His heading ability is also very distinctive, even though he doesn't look tall and imposing. Germany must include Klose in their next call-up. He's a gem on the German football frontline. Deng Kai went on and on about praising him to the camera. The Kaiserslautern players were a little embarrassed after seeing this. Should we go all out in tomorrow's match? Maybe just give it a go? Look at Deng Kai, he's such a good kid. Why do Bayern fans hate him so much? Are Bayern fans just too intolerant? Kaiserslautern fans had begun to question the magnanimity of Bayern, Barcelona, and Inter Milan fans. That changed when the first leg of the UEFA Cup quarterfinals began. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching the first leg of the UEFA Cup quarterfinal between Sporting Lisbon and Kaiserslautern. This match is being held at Sporting Lisbon's home stadium, the Alvalade Stadium, which is packed to capacity. The majority of the more than 40,000 fans are wearing green and white jerseys, clearly indicating their support. Sporting Lisbon is using their usual starting lineup. Their coaching staff hasn't opted for any fancy, unconventional formations. Because the last Inter Milan attempt at such a formation resulted in a truly disastrous outcome. Cristiano Ronaldo, Drogba, Quaresma, Viana, Duncan, Pepe, Deschamps, Terry, Font, Barzagli, Schmeichel. Pepe is starting again today. But Matthäus is on the bench. He's likely to get a chance to play in the second half, depending on his performance. Similarly, the Swedish prodigy Ibrahimovic is also likely to play today. Of course, the most noteworthy players for Sporting Lisbon in this match are Viana and Duncan. Viana's brilliance needs no introduction, and Deng Kai is the pride of our Chinese community, the absolute core and on-field leader of Sporting Lisbon. Ahem. CCTV commentator Wang Jiangxiang was kicked by the anchor next to him, a signal to calm him down and maintain a neutral stance. How could Deng Kai be the absolute core and leader? A 15-year-old boy leading the entire Sporting Lisbon team. Do you believe it? Believe it or not, some Chinese fans actually do. At the start of the match, both sides were very aggressive. The attacks were back and forth, with possession very close, 49% to 51%. In the 13th minute, Djorkaeff dribbled into the penalty area and attempted a chip shot. Schmeichel was in superb form, making a great save. In the 19th minute, Klose's header went over the bar under Font's influence, missing a golden opportunity. In the 22nd minute, Viana suddenly changed his usual wide-arching style of play on the left flank, dribbling past his opponent and breaking through, drawing away Kaiserslautern centre-back before passing the ball to Drogba. Drogba and another Kaiserslautern centre-back collided violently, but the defender clearly hadn't anticipated Drogba's explosive power and didn't apply enough force. As a result, Drogba, staggered by the impact, maintained control of the ball. Bang! With a shooting angle and a one-on-one situation with the goalkeeper, Drogba selflessly passed the ball across. Quaresma, cutting inside without the ball, caught up and easily chipped the ball with the outside of his foot, scoring and breaking his goal drought in European competitions. This was his second goal in European competitions this season. Quaresma was extremely excited and gratefully embraced Drogba and Viana warmly. Rahagel did indeed have a plan against Viana, and Viana was indeed ineffective for 20 minutes. But it turns out Viana is unstoppable. His playmaking was crucial in this goal. This is the brilliance of a top player. After this match, Inter Milan will probably have to spend another €1 million or €2 more to get Viana. Now, commentators who know Viana are all talking about this. Every time Viana shines, Inter Milan's future offers will increase even more. Some fans who are worried about Inter Milan's finances are already calling for Viana to be suspended. They're not afraid that Viana's price will skyrocket to €30 million. They can afford that. They're mainly afraid that other teams will compete with them for Viana. Especially Real Madrid, who are trying to emulate Inter Milan and launch a superstar policy. In the 40th minute, Inter Milan fans got their wish. Viana dribbled past his opponent and was tactically brought down by Kaiserslautern's defensive midfielder. It was a normal collision, and the opponent paid the price with a yellow card. But Viana couldn't get up for a long time. Chapter 322 Radish squat, Viana squats, Deng Kai squats. This isn't good. Viana's situation isn't good. He's clutching his thigh, most likely strained it during the collision. The team doctor is on the field. The team doctor has signaled a substitution. Viana probably can't continue. But judging from Viana's expression, it shouldn't be a serious problem, probably just a strain, and he should be back in 2 or 3 games. Matthäus is warming up, which is a very good sign for many fans. Although Viana has recently become very popular, his fame and status in the football world certainly can't compare to Matthäus. Matthäus has replaced Viana, appearing in the left attacking midfield position, which is acceptable. Matthäus can play in multiple positions on the field. But the effect might not be as good as Viana's. After all, Matthäus is 40 years old this year, he can't play like Viana. Then the attacking pressure on Sporting Lisbon's midfield and forward line falls on Duncan. Can he handle this task? As far as we know, many fans in Portugal believe that the true core of this team is Deng Kai. They believe that Deng Kai sacrificed his performance for Viana, deliberately dropping deeper, which allowed Viana to shine. If it's really as the Portuguese fans say, then Deng Kai should perform well in this match. Soon, the match entered halftime. Both coaches rearranged their tactics. Rahajo applied all the tactics he used against Viana to Deng Kai. While their defensive strategy didn't completely contain Viana, it limited him by about 80%. In their view, Deng Kai's performance was inferior to Viana's, so completely containing Deng Kai shouldn't be a problem. For Sporting Lisbon, Trigueira's arrangement was relatively simple. Deng Kai would move forward, becoming a true attacking midfielder, rather than appearing in the midfield or defensive midfield positions. Then, Matthäus would drop deeper, doing the work Deng Kai had previously done. Everyone believed this would be very effective because Deng Kai's previous style of playing deeper was that of a free-roaming defender, which was Matthäus's most suitable position. There are only two truly free-roaming defenders in world football, Beckenbauer and Matthäus. As for Deng Kai, he's simply a novice compared to a master. At the start of the second half, Kaiserslautern launched a fierce attack, trying to equalize. Trailing, they played more proactively. This led to Matthäus's rise. In the 47th minute, Matthäus intercepted a through ball from Kaiserslautern's midfield. They oversimplified the situation. Such a pass wouldn't even get past Matthäus, even if it did, Pepper was still there. In the 52nd minute, Djorkaeff cut inside from the wing and encountered Matthäus, who cleanly intercepted the ball. In the 55th minute, Matthäus spotted Deng Kai making a run on the right flank and delivered a brilliant pass over two defenders to Deng Kai's feet. Deng Kai, positioned on the right flank, faced a ball coming from the left rear and perfectly timed his run. He let the ball slip past him on his left, seemingly intending to handle it with his right foot and pass it to Quaresma on his right. But his left foot followed up in time, flicking the ball with the outside of his foot. The ball instead flew to his left. Deng Kai's one-touch, outside-of-the-foot pass, so fast. He's like a super accelerator, the ball's movement suddenly doubles when it reaches his feet. Kaiserslautern's defenders were completely unprepared for Deng Kai's approach. The Viana they faced previously relied more on excellent dribbling and ball control, using skill to break through and create danger. But Deng Kai's threatening style is completely different. Simple, direct, and deadly. Inside the penalty area, Drogba was well prepared. Even before Deng Kai passed the ball, fine beads of sweat appeared on Drogba's forehead. Not from exhaustion, but from fear. It was that feeling of knowing that Kai's about to flick your forehead, but not knowing exactly when. Deng Kai's passes are notoriously difficult to receive within the team. Yet, every single one of his passes is a masterpiece. If you miss it, you'll find it hard to forgive yourself, even without his accusations. Aside from the shameless Cristiano Ronaldo, who, after missing a pass, blames Deng Kai for not having an automatic pass-finding function, everyone else immediately reflects on their own performance after missing or failing to keep up with Deng Kai's passes. But perhaps it's precisely because of this pressure from Deng Kai's passes that Sporting Lisbon's attacking players treat every opportunity with extreme caution. Their ability to seize opportunities unconsciously improves significantly in this process. Bang! Facing Deng Kai's quick pass, Drogba starts running early, which allows him to avoid some interference from the opponent. Deng Kai's outside-of-the-foot pass has a large arc, essentially coming from the right side to find Drogba, not simply from behind. Dealing with a ball coming from the side is much easier than dealing with a ball coming directly from behind. Drogba leans to the left, his left foot planted firmly, his right foot raised high. His dark thigh lashed the football like a steel whip. The ball whipped up a powerful gust of wind, giving the Kaiserslautern goalkeeper no chance to react, crashing into the net and creating a spectacular display. Goal. A super shot. This is a super goal from Drogba. Deng Kai's perfect first-time pass, Drogba's first-time volley, Sporting Lisbon's attacking pace jumped from second to ninth. The ball became incredibly fast in an instant. Drogba's shooting technique is truly impressive. His ball control is clearly not as good as the team's other striker, Ibrahimovic, but in terms of shooting, Drogba is closing the gap with Ibrahimovic. Drogba's shooting style is simple, mostly powerful shots, lacking much technique. But one trick is enough, just like Deng Kai's passing, sometimes the simplest is the most deadly. 2-0, Sporting Lisbon extended their lead at home. Kaiserslautern was momentarily flustered. This goal left them completely bewildered. Deng Kai barely dribbled the ball. In terms of sheer brilliance, he certainly didn't match Viana's in the first half. But his assists seemed much easier than Viana's. Just one touch? The ball stayed at his feet for less than a second. It was bizarre. In the 67th minute, the ball returned to Deng Kai's feet. Kaiserslautern's basic defense was quite solid. Sporting Lisbon's wide-ranging tactics, attacking from both flanks, were largely blocked. Chapter 323. Even more monstrous than Manchester United's class of '92? Everyone knew that Deng Kai needed to step up at this moment. But Deng Kai's sharp passing didn't come again. Because Kaiserslautern's defensive formation hadn't shown any weaknesses. At this point, more players needed to participate in the direct attack. For example, like Viana, dribbling forward to increase the number of attacking players in the front. But did Deng Kai have that ability? Bang! Just when everyone thought Deng Kai would try to dribble forward, he suddenly flicked the ball repeatedly, turning left from the right flank into the very center of the penalty area. This is the most tightly defended area by any team, and also the area where most goals are scored in world football. Bang! It looked like Deng Kai was about to engage the opponent. Deng Kai, who had flicked the ball to the left, suddenly followed up with his right foot, delivering another outside-of-the-foot pass in the opposite direction. And just like last time, Deng Kai added some cleverness to the outside-of-the-foot pass. Last time, he missed the ball and chased after it, half a beat too slow against those who thought he would handle the ball with his left foot, and half a beat faster against those who thought he would handle the ball with his right foot. This time, Deng Kai's right foot was a feint shot followed by a pass. The first half appeared to be a preparation for a direct shot with his right foot during a dribbling run. Deng Kai has recently showcased several long-range shots in the league, scoring more than one goal. Kaiserslautern, of course, knew this and were specifically targeting Deng Kai with this move. But who could have predicted that Deng Kai would change his stance in the latter half of his swing, transforming his right foot from a shot into a pass with the outside of his foot. On the right side of the goal, Quaresma, cutting inside without the ball, stretched out his foot to control the ball. Although it was somewhat difficult, his ball control was excellent, and he managed a powerful outside-of-the-foot shot just before the ball went out of bounds. It was fortunate that Quaresma was a master of the outside of his foot. A normal pass would have sent the ball out of bounds in mid-air. Two kings of the outside of the foot took turns passing the ball. The ball soared high, over the goal, and flew towards the far post. Bang! On the other side, Ronaldo, cutting inside, leaped high and, unmarked, headed the ball towards the goal. By the time Kaiserslautern's goalkeeper turned his head, the ball had already flown into the net. He made a valiant save, hitting the ball against the inside side netting, but couldn't prevent the goal. Goal. Ronaldo scores with a header. 3-0. Unbelievable. Sporting Lisbon truly lives up to its reputation as the team that eliminated Inter Milan. It seems this really isn't just luck. They have the strength of a dark horse. Kaiserslautern is a top-ranked team in the Bundesliga, yet Sporting Lisbon has scored 3 goals against them. Viana's injury doesn't seem to have had any significant negative impact on Sporting Lisbon. Duncan perfectly shouldered the responsibility of being the attacking caller. Although he and Viana used different methods, the effect was equally good. Of course, Ronaldo's goal must be attributed to Drogba. Drogba's run drew away 2 defenders, opening up the left side of the penalty area and giving Ronaldo a huge space. Drogba is panting heavily, and so far, he has covered the most distance in the entire match. When Drogba is on the field, the team's champion in running distance is either him or Duncan. However, the current champion in total running distance for Sporting Lisbon this season is Duncan, because Duncan often plays the full 90 minutes, while Drogba is usually substituted by Ibrahimovic around the 70-minute mark. This further explains why Portuguese fans consider Duncan the team's core. His playing time is unparalleled, he's almost always present, never substituted, and rarely injured. But precisely because of this, Inter Milan fans believe that Viana is no less efficient than Duncan, as Viana has had a considerable number of games missed due to injury or substituted this season. Okay, Trigura has made a substitution. Ibrahimovic has replaced Drogba, which will be another tough test for Kaiserslautern's defense. Don't let Ibrahimovic's height fool you. Unlike Drogba, a traditional target man, Ibrahimovic's playing style is more talented, and although sometimes a bit soft, he always manages to create unexpected problems for the opposition. In the 72nd minute, Ibrahimovic's trouble for Kaiserslautern began. He dropped back to support Deng Kai, but after Deng Kai made a forward run, he pulled the ball back and dribbled in another direction towards the penalty area. Kaiserslautern's defenders had already marked Deng Kai. One player was chasing Deng Kai, and another was preparing to intercept Ibrahimovic's pass to Deng Kai, but who knew Ibrahimovic would do it himself? Facing the center-back, Ibrahimovic executed a croquet move. He wasn't fast, but he had long legs. This croquet move didn't completely get past the opponent, but it easily created a shooting opportunity for Ibrahimovic. Bang! Before the croquet move was even finished, Ibrahimovic took a shot while the opposing center-back was hanging on him. But the opponent's interference still worked. Ibrahimovic's power wasn't fully generated, and the ball's speed wasn't fast enough. Kaiserslautern's goalkeeper leaped and pushed the ball out of bounds. The entire Kaiserslautern stadium, both on and off the field, broke out in a cold sweat. Rahagel looked extremely serious. It was outrageous. Not the distance between the two teams, nor the scene of the game. It's simply absurd that Sporting Lisbon has so many talented players. Viana is a given, Inter Milan is practically committed to him, and his price tag is likely around 20 million euros. Similarly, according to Rahagel's inside information, Barcelona is determined to acquire Quaresma this summer, with a transfer fee estimated to be close to 20 million euros. Both of these players were born in 1983 and are only 18 years old this year, definitely future superstars. But these are, after all, products of Sporting Lisbon's own efforts over the years. Sporting Lisbon's ability to discover and nurture talent is inherently strong, so it's normal for their protégés to be successful. The key question is, where did this Cristiano Ronaldo, with his exceptional goal-scoring instinct, incredible speed, and reliable shooting technique, and Deng Kai, a forward who is no less talented than Viana and even superior in terms of playmaking, come from? They're not even 16 years old yet. It's understandable for players of this age to dominate in youth teams, but to dominate in the Portuguese league, most importantly, in 2 years. They might be considered products of Sporting Lisbon's own hard work and dedication. But now, they've only played for Sporting Lisbon for a year, then were released for 6 months, and Ronaldo was bedridden for 6 months. Their current performance is practically a gift from Sporting Lisbon. Fine, everyone steps in dog poop a few times in their life, right? Ronaldo? Deng Kai. But you can't always step in dog poop, can you? There's Drogba, hard-working, physically gifted, and increasingly brilliant in shooting. There's Ibrahimovic, with a perfect physique and talent that's practically the team's ceiling. There's Pepe, a bit impulsive, but whose defensive ability is already 80% of elite methods. There are Terry and Barzagli, young center-backs with physical and speed advantages, and defensive awareness far surpassing their peers. This team has too many monsters. Perhaps in the future, looking back, most of these players could become football legends? Rahagel was horrified by his own thoughts. He quickly shook his head. That's impossible. There can't be a more monstrous class in the world than Manchester United's class of '92. Chapter 324 The world's only zero-assist striker. Manchester United's class of '92 was already a youth academy miracle, but the truly top players in that team were Beckham and Giggs. Scholes and Gary Neville were also superstars, but they weren't quite at the very top level. Rahagel, however, considers all the football legends to be no less impressive than Beckham, who has been at the peak of his career these past 2 years. You heard right, Rahagel believes that Sporting Lisbon has 5 to 8 players whose future achievements will rival Beckham's. Even considering the chances of them falling from grace, 3 to 5 are still a possibility. Outrageous, isn't it? Outrageous. But Rahagel truly believes this. Bang! As Duncan delivered the corner kick, Barzagli leaped high above close and headed the ball into the net. Goal. 4-0. Barzagli's header was powerful and heavy. This centre-back from the Apennine Peninsula has inherited the glorious tradition of Italian defenders, possessing not only solid defense but also a strong free-kick threat. I think this result was unexpected by everyone. Although there are still 20 minutes left in the game, it seems we can already declare Kaiserslautern's UEFA Cup journey over this season. They reached the semi-finals last year, but this year it seems they will be stopped in the quarter-finals. Perhaps the pressure of the league was too great, and Kaiserslautern was not fully prepared, but I think the reason for this score is probably more due to Sporting Lisbon itself. They are really too strong. I even see a kingly aura in this young team. In the first half of the season, I thought it was Matos, Deschamps, Quaresma, and Viana who brought a team to the team. But now it seems that it is perhaps more due to Duncan and Ronaldo. Both of them have been consistently performing well since the beginning of the season. They rarely have many highlights, but their performances in most games would be highlights if they were performed by other players. Especially Duncan. That's why the commentators know their stuff. After the goal, the commentator raved about Sporting Lisbon for about 10 minutes. Then, in the 81st minute, Djorkaeff dribbled past two players and delivered a brilliant half-high pass. This made it very difficult for Font to handle. But Klose possessed all-around ball-handling ability. Facing the half-high ball, Klose raised his thigh high, his calf taut, perpendicular to the ground. Using his calf, he forcefully knocked the ball into the goal. This, 4-1, Klose has pulled one back for Kaiserslautern. In the past 10 minutes, Kaiserslautern has had more of the advantage. If they can pull one or two more back in the next few minutes, they might still have a chance. After all, the next game is at their home ground. I think Kaiserslautern can do it. After all, this is Rehagel's team. They are born with the ability to perform exceptionally well under pressure. Today, this commentator's mouth is like it's blessed. Whoever he praises ends up being a disappointment. Before he could even finish expressing his expectations for Kaiserslautern, in the 83rd minute, Duncan shattered Kaiserslautern's defense with a through ball. Ronaldo cut inside without the ball and caught up with it near the byline of the penalty area. He dribbled past several players, attempting to beat them, but ultimately opted for a sweeping cross into the box. In recent matches, Ronaldo has consciously been trying to provide assists. Because so far, Ronaldo is the only striker in world football this season with more than 10 goals without an assist. It's embarrassing to admit. Bang! A flurry of activity erupted as Ibrahimovic and Quaresma surged into the penalty area. A Kaiserslautern defender got to the ball first, and then, the ball pierced the goal, their own goal. 5-1. Sporting Lisbon scored within a minute of conceding. Such dominance essentially extinguished the Kaiserslautern fans' nascent hopes of a comeback. But on the pitch, besides Kaiserslautern's goalkeeper and the centre-back who scored the own goal, lying on the grass with his face covered, there was also Cristiano Ronaldo, the biggest contributor to the goal. He was almost in tears. Is an assist really that difficult? Deng Kai came over and helped Ronaldo up. Ronaldo asked in bewilderment, is an assist the hardest thing in the world? How am I supposed to do this? I'm really crying. Deng Kai shook his head, an assist is simple. Look at my assists in European competitions this season, I have one more goal than you. Ronaldo currently has 8 goals in European competitions, ranking second in the UEFA Cup goal list. However, Deng Kai has 9 assists in European competitions, a significant gap in the assist rankings. Second is Quaresma with 7 assists. This is enough to demonstrate a team's strong ability to create opportunities. In the end, the score was 5-1. Sporting Lisbon thrashed a visiting Kaiserslautern at home, achieving an incredible scoreline. This is also their best score in European competitions this season. After the match, the news from Portugal and Germany was explosive. Viana injured, Deng Kai continues to contribute, Sporting Lisbon's performance remains consistent. Sporting Lisbon officially announces Viana's thigh strain, out for 3 to 4 weeks, not a major issue. Inter Milan fans relieved, urging Viana to rest more and not participate in the remaining matches, ensuring he joins Inter in peak condition. Moratti calls Sporting Lisbon's management to confirm Viana's injury. Inter Milan is determined to acquire Viana. 5-1. The second-best team in the Portuguese league is far stronger than the 7th-best team in the Bundesliga. Sporting Lisbon's youth team is bursting with power, multiple players contributing and multiple key players are the biggest reason for their rise. Trigura, we cannot be complacent. Rehagel is a coach who excels at creating miracles. We will give 200% in the next match. Maxa, Klose is terrifyingly well-rounded. It's hard to understand why such a striker hasn't received the German national team's call. Deng Kai's performance is impeccable. He has always been this kind of player. He doesn't mind having his brilliance shared by others because he knows his brilliance is endless. Deng Kai, Viana's injury is a huge blow to us, but fortunately it's not serious. We look forward to his return. The treble is a distant dream. We will try to dream, but we won't be obsessed with it. In crucial moments, we will make the necessary choices. Djorkaeff, Deng Kai's performance was incredible. This team doesn't look like it's just been rebuilt. They have strong cohesion, they understand each other well and are selfless. They're like a mature team that has been playing together for years. Klose, Sporting Lisbon's defense was terrifying. It made me feel suffocated. Although I scored a goal, I was on the back foot most of the time. We need to find a way in midfield. The possession was a bit too high, which was the biggest reason we had a difficult game. Chapter 325 My irreconcilable enmity with Nilu. Rahajal, our strategy against Duncan has completely failed. The players are telling me that defending against Viana is easier than defending against Duncan. We will conduct in-depth research on Duncan when we get back. This team has a lot of talented players, more than anyone imagined. It wouldn't be surprising if such a team achieved any results. Upon returning to Germany, Rahajal kept his word and quickly investigated Duncan, watching numerous video clips of his matches. The expert group's conclusions left Rahajal pessimistic. This player's starting point wasn't high, but he's progressing rapidly. He's improving almost constantly. A normal player might improve once every year or two, which is considered good. But Deng Kai's performance improves significantly every 1 or 2 months. His playing style is versatile. Simply put, his playmaking, assists, dribbling, defense, and finishing abilities are all quite good. However, judging from the last match, he showcased more of his playmaking and assist abilities. We can't imagine what he would do if he added finishing and dribbling abilities to that foundation. But one thing is certain, he has the ability to play like Viana. He just hasn't been eager to show it. He never competes with his teammates for anything. He likes to do what no one else does, or what no one else can do. This player is very special, and if possible, we strongly recommend the team make an offer for Deng Kai in the summer. He can completely revitalize Klose and Djorkaeff. With his support, both Djorkaeff and Klose may reach new career highs. The expert panel's opinions were largely consistent with Rahajal's previous observations, but more detailed. Rahajal directly expressed his desire to buy Duncan to the club's management, a rare move for him as it often comes across as an excuse for the team's losses. Many managers use this method to acquire players who have outperformed them, but such deals have a higher risk of failure. This is because they often result from the player's exceptional performance, potentially lowering their actual skill level. Successful acquisitions like Shevchenko and Trezeguet are rare. In response to Rahajal's request, the club indicated they would make offers in the summer, but the market outlook is not optimistic. If Sporting Lisbon were to sell Viana and Quaresma, a player like Duncan, who can create opportunities, would be essential for the team. Considering the team's overall strength, Sporting Lisbon will not sell Duncan. Considering his future market value, they are even less likely to sell him. Duncan only needs to maintain his current level of performance. No improvement is necessary. Continuing to play in the Portuguese league for 2 more years would command a transfer fee of at least 15 million euros. You have obtained a star player drop. Rahajal's tactical whiteboard. Otto the Great Rahajal has created 2 miracles. His tactical level is beyond doubt. Interception +2, tackling +2, defensive movement +1, offensive movement +1, strength +1, stamina +1. Rahajal highly values players' physical attributes. Using this tactical whiteboard can effectively increase the team's players' physical strength, aerial ability, and running ability. It allows players to quickly adapt to and master the high-pressing tactics. This drop after the match was a bit of a surprise to Deng Kai. He originally thought that Klose or Djorkaeff would be the first to be defeated. But it turned out to be the great Rahajal. This tactical whiteboard is quite useful. The team's unified high pressing is suitable for strong teams. Sporting Lisbon used the large circle tactic this season to hone their skills, while also cultivating the players' attacking ambition and defensive stability through victories. Next season, they can basically try a more aggressive style of play. Rahajal's tactical whiteboard arrived at just the right time. As I said before, the key to a high-pressing attack is a strong mentality in the defense. Without years of training, even the best tackling ability won't make a good defender in a high-pressing team. For example, Pepe is still lacking in experience. Terry and Barzagli are more mentally stable. As for Font, his mentality is also stable, but his confidence doesn't come from his own strength or excellent performance on the field, but from his deep friendship with director Kai. No, it's almost like family. If Deng Kai hadn't disowned him, Font would even be willing to call Kai dad. Font learned this from Max's tactical research notebook. The first page of Max's notebook contained a profound saying: talented horses are common, but discerning judges are rare. Being entrusted with a coaching responsibility by Kai is the second turning point in my life, and it's even more important than the first. Kai, Sporting Lisbon's only on-field dad. After some inquiries, Font learned about Max's first turning point in life. That was his transition from a team cleaner to an assistant coach in the youth academy. The person who promoted him was none other than Mr. Trigura, the current head coach of Sporting Lisbon. Perhaps this is why Marxa, despite having a reputation in the coaching profession that is no less than, or even greater than, Trigura's reputation, he was still willing to be Trigura's assistant. Flatterer as he may be, Marxa is still a man of principle. Font said he would learn from Marxa in this respect. When his own on-field skills far surpassed Keisha's, he wouldn't look down on Keisha, but would find a way to bring Keisha to his team, help him become a starter, and give him an opportunity to assist him. My great Font is indeed as kind-hearted as Marxa. In Lisbon, at Marx's home. Hey, any news? Denmark? No way, no way. Don't underestimate Danish football just because it's not top tier in Europe. On a global scale, they're at least a second-rate team. I can't manage them. Any weaker ones? Like Equatorial Guinea, Vietnam, or Laos? Marxa was talking to his agent. His only task for his agent was to discreetly approach a terrible national team, the kind that wouldn't get him blamed if he couldn't achieve results. After all, the foundation is too weak. You can't expect a new head coach to magically turn things around. This way, Maxius won't be exposed. Maxius is a visionary. In people's eyes, Sporting Lisbon is currently a dark horse. But Maxius knows that this is far from the team's ceiling. Next year, the year after, even if this team can frequently defeat European powerhouses, Maxius won't be surprised. Will Trigura still be able to stay at Sporting Lisbon then? No, he won't. If Trigura leaves, Maxius will be in trouble. Either he will definitely take over Sporting Lisbon, and then Sporting Lisbon's performance will inevitably plummet. So Maxius has to leave. But where to go? By then, his reputation will probably be quite good. And a struggling powerhouse might extend an olive branch to him. But if they were all struggling, how can Maxius have the ability to revive the team? He can't go. There might also be strong teams with good results, preparing to compete for various championships, looking to upgrade their head coach and inviting Maxius. Maxius would be even more afraid to go to such teams. These strong teams have very high ceilings and floors. If things go wrong, they could easily fall into the relegation zone. How could Maxa possibly manage such a volatile team? His only option would be to find a bad team, but the club league system has relegation rules. If Maxa leads a team to relegation, wouldn't he be exposed? National teams are perfect. Especially really bad, weak national teams, they're Max's paradise. He's currently frantically sifting through garbage national teams. Leaving aside Europe, in South America, Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador are all interested in Maxa, but they're all too strong, and Maxa has vehemently rejected them. How infuriating. The Chinese national team, the hometown of Kyrie Irving, would be perfect. But Milutinovic beat him to it. Maxa pounded his chest, regretting being born 2 years too late. Breaking someone's future is like killing their parents. I swear I will never forgive Milutinovic. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.